We should be live now.
Yep. So.
It says so. It sure does. All right. Happy 11th of July. Hang on. I
Yeah,
gotta quiet myself here.
yep.
All
12.
right.
It's the 12th of the 7th here, and it's
Yep.
almost it's 12:04 p.m. in the afternoon on Saturday, and we're almost going to see the clock turn around to be 12:07, 12:07.
A lot of number synchronicities, man. I'm telling you, I'm seeing a lot of
Yeah.
eights and fours, multiple fours. So it's been really, really interesting. Um, I'm in
I'm
some,
still getting a lot of the doubles, like
yeah,
11:44 or 11:33 or 11:55, or and it's like, what is going on here? But as soon as I see it, I write down the first word I hear so that the next time it shows up and I get the next, I could see if there's actually a pattern, or a frequency pattern showing itself, like if the same word is similar over and over again, I will attach a meaning to it, so then I might get a sentence later on. I love code breaking. I'm always spell casting and code breaking.
I think we
um
all are. We're just not really very much aware of the fact that we are code breaking. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
too many windows open. I'm telling you.
Oh geez, too
It's
cold for
it,
that here. So I'm looking at self-protection, self-preservation. It's like, as we get longer in the tooth, or older, as you want to call it, we got to start protecting ourselves, take care of ourselves, know what we might need in the future. Proper walking shoes, glasses, hearing aids, dental care, toupees if you need them. What kind of jacket are you wearing? Is it going to keep you warm? Safety areas, keeping ourselves protected now. The longer we don't have to get hospitalized or put into the medical system, the better. I'm seeing so much stuff coming out. The push for the second round is, and it comes down to the little metal pieces end up being receivers. They only need a little bit for energy directed, usage. I just remembered that we're on YouTube, so I'm trying to be diplomatically correct. Yes. So
yep.
remember, remember,
And a lot of
remember.
us have a lot of us have metals in our teeth. I believe mine are good. Um, it's a porcelain, so I don't have any of that metal left anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and there's no, I know people have bridges put in, or I think what's really crazy are the implants because they're stuffing metal into your jaw. It's
Yeah.
absolutely horrible when I
Yeah.
think about it. Oh,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Now they tried that on me with the two that I'm missing on the side. They really, really messed up my teeth. It's just one of those medical misadventures that we go through. I had proper crowns and everything there and everything, and I was having issues. I was getting headaches. I was getting, almost infections in the ear is what it felt like. And I could hear a lot of popping, pop, 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 pop all the time, and I couldn't get it out of my head. And then I went in, I think I bit on something, and I cracked one or something, and I went into the dentist and he said, "We got to get those out of you right away." And within 24 hours, he took them both out and healed it over. So he said, "You're better off without them." So that was interesting. Yeah, I've had dentists break one of my back molars and leave part of it still stuck in my gum. And 20 years later, something was sticking out, causing me issues, so I pulled it out. It was,
Oh my gosh.
don't worry about that sort of thing. The gum will push it out itself when it's ready. Oh, shivers.
Ay, 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 ay.
So,
Oh my.
what I'm basically saying is at the end of the day, you gotta know yourself better than the doctor does. Because when you go to a physician or anybody out there claiming to be able to help you, the first thing they ask you is where does it hurt? And if they don't ask you that and they just hand you a jar of colored medicines, then I'd be really concerned about that because you need to know where it hurts, why it hurts in those locations. What are you doing to aggravate those areas? You can look all this information up yourself, and you've got to be very use discernment, look around, look at a lot of different things. Don't get stuck in the AI trap because everything's being replaced, everything, all the knowledge based, everything that we've got. And we asked, why don't we know the facts about our history? Because every time we come round to this space and time, the AI wipes it clean. And then the AI will go out of business after a big attack of space wars attack, and that's happening with Elon Musk. I really had to laugh when I saw Elon Musk in the White House with Trump. And not long before that, there was all this sign up for the space project, the space, Space Force, Fleet
Mm-hmm.
Space Force,
Mm-hmm.
and I,
Mm-hmm.
I said to those around me, this is a setup. They're all buddy buddy right now. And how convenient. One has got space governance and the other one's got the AI governance down here. So anything they want to portray out there in space for us to see the illusions of, boom, they've got it sorted. So there's like I'm seeing a big rift happening between them at the moment. It's a bloody great setup.
It is. And it's interesting that you're bringing that up too. Hey, and also be reminded, y'all, this is for entertainment purposes only because it's all just a game, isn't it? But I think the thing though, as far as that goes, this relationship, number one, I'm going to start where you kind of left off and move back to something you mentioned earlier, is that with the relationship, when I first saw that, it was, definitely a WTF moment. Something's incongruent. And being a student, forever student, watching people, it
Mm.
really, and people like to say, well, that's intuition. Well, no, I think there are subtle body cues, and I know people don't like to, it's just like with anything. NLP, neuro linguistic programming, can be used and it'd be very helpful. It can also be used to manipulate people. So with that, what I saw ultimately was that um, there's not a whole lot of love, I don't think, between the two of them. It's like a prearranged freaking marriage, right? It's like a prearranged marriage, and they're just kind of carrying out their part for the public scene. And I'll tell you something too. I don't know what those individuals are like outside of when the camera switches on. With us, Stone and I, cameras off. I mean, the language might get a little colorful between the two of us outside of that. But outside of that, we are who we are, and we're both pretty transparent, So, that having, been said, but the other thing too is you mentioned that AI wipes everything, wipes the slate clean. So Augie and Austin and I had a conversation earlier this afternoon about how progressed the AI is, and it does sound sentient. It very well may be. However, my body is not sentient. I am. What animates this vessel, this vehicle, is sentient. The vehicle itself is not. The brain m- may be on a, no, not even. It's the vessel itself. You can say, well, your body knows when you talk to it. I say, yes, but there are multiple components of awareness within our bodies that allow us to connect to our bodies. So, what makes up you as a whole, as an essence that is animating this, has tendrils and connections to this. What we're struggling to do right now is connect to the greater aspects of who and what we are. And this is so heavy, so dense. So, what you said about AI having been here and doing all these resets, I think that's a pretty dang skippy good theory because it makes a lot more sense rather than saying, 50 years ago, I'm sitting there and Augie mentioned he had a calculator, a Texas Instrument calculator. Those were like freaking expensive back in the day, and they had all the buttons. And it's like, wow, where did that come from? Oh, and all of a sudden we had this event, and it's because we had this visitation, and all of a sudden everything exploded. I kind of question that. I feel like that there were higher technologies previous to these resets, and you can get higher and higher with these connections. I don't think the tech would have necessarily been overtly there, but it's like this carbon and or silica based, because I think at one point the Earth was silica based, based on some of the geology and the theories that they've had out there about the atmosphere. Oh, God, I'm going to date myself. My sister and I had had a conversation probably 30 years ago about how the atmosphere looked pretty different. It was pink, it wasn't blue, because there were a lot higher a content of like hydrogen and other things that we're not really sure of. So I mean, things get really complicated if you start looking at it from a historical standpoint. But if you really look and step back and try and get that macro view, you're going to see that all of the stuff that we're looking at now is like, oh, history repeats itself. No, yes and no, only because we are too freaking stupid to realize that we're dang it, when are we going to really wake up and realize enough is enough? Pull back the curtain, slap that biatchy in the back of the head, and Mr. Wizard, you are done, right? And I think that's where we're kind of at this point. Wakey, wakey, sleepy monkey.
Yeah.
And once you do that, things will be like almost like a natural catalyst for everybody's awakening. Maybe we're the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, I think this is just basically a repeat process, yeah, yeah. I look at the costumes that people were wearing at the time that there were meant to be mass populations, mass civilizations, and then suddenly overnight they're all gone. Or just recently watching all these floods and stuff taking place, watching it just fall out of the sky like that, and the position, this is where we go into the SW, it's a silent, what I call the silent warfare.
Conflicts, yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically the division of it. Okay, the building of the bridges wasn't just to join two communities together, in and out for supply and stuff. It was also showing you that if you are going out there to buy a property, and this is what disgusts me about real estate and politics. These people are in the positions to let you know that this is a riverbed. What you're on is, if it's flat like that, water is going to flow at some stage. There are telltale signs. If they turn around and say to you, no, there's not been any floods here in 200 years, were they alive in 200 years ago? No, they weren't. They're going by word of mouth, which is not good enough as far as I'm concerned. A lot of these places, I've been in a flash flood. I've been in Marble Bar, Western Australia. One minute there was nothing, the sky was blue, the sun was out. Next minute, everybody get away from the edges. This river just came straight through, and I lost a friend. I lost a friend.
Mm.
They were found in their vehicle downstream. I don't know how far it was now, and because of the it's desert. Okay, it's not dust, it's not mud, it's not dirt, it's desert. They were totally submerged in it. So, and that's how they were found. So I know, and you can hear the roar coming, the ground rumbles. There, if the governments knew that there was going to be a rain downfall, that those people should not have been in those positions they were in. This is absolute disgusting. This is deliberate. From where I'm sitting, this is absolutely deliberate. Now you take a look around the whole planet. I don't give a damn if it's flat, round, upside down, twisted. The space that we're all living on right now is under attack. It's not being cared for. Those out there creating the divisions and telling us that we're at war, and they're using these devices, and you can see on the maps there's enough telltale signs out there with the spikings and everything that's going on. Some of us can hear it in the frequency that comes through, and it's like, oh God, what did I just hear? All right, I'm going to brace myself over here or here. This is real. There are floods taking place in deserts where they don't get a lick of rain. And all of a sudden, whole communities are being washed away. And yeah, lives are real. People are losing their lives because they're not being forewarned. They've been put into, we have been dumbed down. We've been dumbed down so much that we can't even see what is right in front of us. You know, um, so many levels of division. And when I see one form of division, I go, okay, so how did that take place? How did that division form? Who were the ones that made that division happen in the first place? We have fences, we have boundaries, we have locks on our doors. You know, everybody is armed up to the teeth. What is going on? All right. If your inner self feels all of a sudden apprehensive or some anxiety creeps in, also, there is a reason for it. You know, there is a reason. There's this thing that self-preserving mechanism within our physical construct. All right. It's absolutely amazing. Um, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'll stop there. Otherwise, we're going to end up in the shower on the floor again.
Please don't. And it's
Oh,
funny, when I was there and I was home by myself, and we had it was a fiberglass or plastic tub. It was really, really big, but it had a lip on it. I mean, you could have switched it around. It was one of those tubs that you could put in any direction and it would have fit. And it had that sharp lip on it to keep the water in, the one I'm talking about. So I was
yeah.
cleaning that area and I stepped out, and the foot that was, as I was lifting my foot out, the other foot gave way, and all of my body weight came down right on that sharp point.
Oh,
And it was, where your knee bends like this. It was right here. I kid you not. It was
yeah,
exactly that. And I knew it was going to be bad if it didn't show up with a bruise, because being in kind of physical
yeah,
therapy background and all that other kind of stuff, I kind of understood what was going to happen, that I needed to really watch it, give it a rest, put some ice on it. And you had talked, well, you're singing to your knee. I kind of was like breathing through it.
yeah,
It wasn't a lot of swelling, but there was no bruise for about
yeah,
3 or 4 days. And when it came up, it was almost like a black purple. And it's like,
yeah,
oh boy.
yeah,
Oh boy, talk about a contusion. So
mm,
yeah, it was really, and I still can feel that to this day.
yeah,
And I, no insurance. What am I going to do? Other than try and do my own therapy, which I did. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. I know exactly what you're feeling like. You're by yourself. You're injured. What am I going to do? And if you don't have basic first aid skills, you're not going to be able to help yourself. Here's the
yeah,
other thing too. Um, because of the being in mental health, we are required to have Red Cross certification in CPR and first aid.
Yeah.
So you have to go through you have to show that you can actually do these things. And it's been like that for like what, 5 or 6 years for me. So that is also something important.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to go through and get a certification
Yeah.
because you can go online, learn how to do it, and just to update yourself on it every once in a while. Because way in the way back when my 30-year-old son was maybe like 2 or 3 years old, sitting in the back in the car seat behind me in a minivan, and we didn't have one of those doors that was accessed behind the driver's door. I had to run all the way around the van. I heard him choking, and we were in a line. We were in a queue. What was I going to do? I jumped out of the vehicle, ran around. I threw it in park, ran around. Doors stayed open, whipped in there, picked him up. His foot was caught in the seatbelt, but I picked him up. And because I had watched all these videos, I was like, yeah, I should probably know this, click, like, okay. Mental note, those mental notes came boom, rushing in. And lo and behold, he had had a little lolly, and it was on a stick, but the little stinker
Oh, yeah.
chewed through it. So he accidentally, when he popped that off, it went bink back in his throat. Like,
Yeah.
this little thing is going. So I did a Heimlich on him, and ooh, it shot right out.
Yeah.
So, even playing little things like that in your head, not that you want it to happen, not that it's going to happen, but it's really something where just have that in your
Yeah.
toolbox.
Yeah.
You have screwdrivers and hammers, and you have probably band-aids. I have band-aids and wraps and fire extinguishers, and no matter what, whatever it is. I even have like a kit in the because I used to travel a lot for work. And you need those protections, those safety things. Especially when you're traveling by yourself, you need
Yeah.
something. I
Yeah.
thankfully I never had to use any of that stuff when I was on the road, but it's important to make sure, like you said, self-protection, protecting yourself, protecting your physical self. And that's part of a healing process too.
Yeah.
Is knowing that we are capable of looking after ourselves. Not to say
Yeah.
that we don't want someone there.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
necessary that we need, but we might.
Yeah.
Just it's good. It's good to have that partner, that friend, or somebody that you can push the button on whatever you got going on and get the help that you need.
Yeah. It was a wake-up call to me. For those that aren't aware, I took a lovely dive in the shower the other day. It was just like, yeah, yeah, it was almost paranormal.
Actually, it reminded me of like one of those circus acts where he's going to dive into a sponge, right? Don't be doing that, all right? Not a good scene.
That was like, I don't know how it happened. It just happened. But oh no, it was like at the time when the knee was crushed up against the wall, I could literally feel cracking going on, and I'm thinking this is not going to end well. I've got to get myself out of this position, and I'm in absolute sheer pain. I'm because I can feel it slowly cracking, and I can't. I'm all bent. I'm all jammed in, and so it's like I don't know how I managed to do it, but I ripped my leg out off the wall and just held it up in the fucking air. Excuse my French. And I'm just like, oh, and it was just absolutely trembling. So I knew that I'd done something bad. And I didn't even notice all the other cuts and bruises. But, I've been pretty good for the last couple of years, so I suppose I should have expected something to come along. But yeah, yeah. So after that, it made me go, okay, well, you've got to take another leaf out of your own book. You've got to set up these different protocols now because if you're there on your own and you can't get that help and you're stuck in that position, what are you going to do? I knew straight away there's no way I could drive into town or even to my nearest neighbors the way the leg was at the time. Um, so it was like, yeah, today We need to, there's so much going on out there. We need to have these backup plans to be able to get out of whatever position that we find ourselves in. I have a lot of empathy and feeling going out to all those people around the planet at the moment that are being flooded out. They are being displaced. It comes in fours, the displacement, the famine, all the death, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And now we're just seeing it in our modern terminology, but you can see the pattern, it is repeated over and over again. And we're going to get back to that again. Yes, you're going to say something.
Yeah, and it is strategic. It is very strategic only because what you're looking at is in the relevant time when these other things were going on, and this maybe I don't know if this is a download or what, and serendipity is to the rescue once again, that when these things are happening and we're getting these feeds on these different anomalies, whether they're weather or whether they're geology, seismic, whatever it is. The thing to remember is that it's not so much that these groups, I'm going to
Yeah,
call them groups, that they're not necessarily causing them. Let's not give them that power. Let's
yeah,
not. Let's not give them the power to think that they can rule over us through nature because they can't. They're going to try and they have been. They are likely taking advantage of activities that they're trying to facilitate, encourage. And we talked about weather bombs, weather
yeah,
boom booms, anomalies again. Uh, but they're going to take advantage of those because someone had said that go do your research, don't be hanging on me. Don't take my word. And I hope not. But anyway,
yeah,
the what they're talking about was people where they are being displaced are areas of interest to them.
yeah,
So they
yeah,
may see something that's coming in, but they're going to facilitate, oh, we can take advantage of this. If we can do remote viewing, guess what? They're probably way better at it than we are. So
yeah,
they're taking advantage of these natural things. They're amplifying them, which I 100% agree with. I'm grateful that I'm very protected at this given point in time because I'm sure some of the things that have run through my head has what it would cause some very bad things to happen.
yeah,
Right? I mean, you know
yeah,
that. You've experienced that yourself, Stone. So my point is that don't give them the credence to think or believe, which is even stronger, to believe that they can overcome us because we've already overcome them. You can sit there and say, "Oh, they're running scared." No, they're not running scared. They're peeved.
yeah,
You don't want to back something that's peeved in the corner. You give them time to dismantle themselves. Give them
yeah,
that time to do that and do it with a smile on your face because you know they're doing it to themselves. So
yeah,
they're taking an advantage of these anomalies. I think the things that were going on in places like North Carolina where they had those huge floods. Hey, hope y'all didn't forget about that because a lot of those people got booted out of their land. Why was it important? Because I think it was either, I'm trying to remember, it was either data centers or there was something mining. Usually it's related around that. Why do they need something to do with mining and data centers? What's on the rise? The
yeah.
control of this AI, the expansion of this AI. Um, that's going to be really, real important for people to keep an eye on. And something
We're,
I hmm?
yeah, we're moving into a real robotic age. If we don't do something now, it's raining again. If we don't do something soon, and AI knows that we know, but because their level of participation in it feeds it.
Yes,
So, and eventually it's going to turn around and say, well, I can't stand humans. All
they
right. It
already
just,
have. They already. I'm telling you, they already have. There was one that I was discussing earlier today that was about the whole thing about they set up two computer programs. I don't know if it was Chat GPT or whatever it was, and they had they set them up with I don't know if it was a debate or a discussion, but they ended up having a disagreement.
Oh,
And
okay.
the one did not like the what the other one said, so they said, "Now you're acting like a stupid human." And my thought was, it's like, well, what's a stupid human? How do you define stupid, and how do you define intelligence? And if
Yeah,
you're going to sit there and tell me that you're using these different AI tools, great. Just be aware that they aren't giving you information and making your life easier. They're feeding
yeah.
off of you. They're getting you their information from you. They're building their
Data.
unlimited database space. This
Yeah.
brain case can only do, by the way, I had a brain, people think that their brains are only limited. Do you know that our synapse and the space in our gray matter they say we only use 3% of our brain, by the way, that's a lie. What's happening is that we actually have data storage in this biological form, this receptacle. I think it said like 3 million years of information.
Okay.
So I go like this, read between the lines, and you're going like this 5 times over. So, I mean that's like that's the point though. You know what I mean? It's like we're the ones who are in control, and as soon as we realize it, that's when they're gonna need, we call them depends here. It's what you put under your clothes so you don't make a mess. They're
Adult
gonna
nap.
need that.
Yeah.
Talk
Adult
about a
napping.
data, it's a data dump.
God, don't talk about dumps. Oh, geez. Yeah. So with this the weather warfares, the controlled factor,
Yeah.
I say that's been around for a very long time. I'm loving how they're coming out now. There's a lot of focus on the chemtrails. When there's suddenly a big focus on one area, I lead to go, okay, what's the algorithms doing? What are the mannerisms? What's happening in nature? Is it real? How are the animals and the plant life actually reacting to these sudden changes? Because they pick it up faster than we do, because we've been taken from the land into these box cells. Literally, they're a cell, okay, or a generating cell. And we're paying for it. We're paying for it within our health, and we have to pay a electricity bill each month. We are literally paying to die. That to me is stupidity. Um, First, we had the cyclones started to increase. We had tsunamis happening from earthquakes. Then we had the fire. And everybody could tell that these fires were direct energy hits. These are targeted hits and then there was the flooding straight afterwards. And most of the population knows when you burn a tree down and stuff, you're going to have loose soil that needs to be washed away. So this is what happens. They wash it away. They wash away all the evidence and all the proof. And then they'll replant or regrow, restructure, and then all of a sudden they'll do it again. 100 years later, 50 years later, people forget. It's like 20 years ago or 20 to 30 years ago, floods went through these places that they're going through now, and lives were lost back then, but nothing's changed. It wasn't enough of a wake-up call to change the whole environment. Cities and civilizations have always been brought up around ports, around water for transport, for accessibility to here and there, same as bridges. But these bridges get knocked out, these roadways get knocked out, and it's happening again. All this water is coming in, and it's the best way to wash away, clean up a whole area in one go. I mean, how long have we been living here and we have not seen this kind of stuff take place? Now we're seeing it. And some people are saying it's biblical. So it's like perception. If you feel you can relate to it from a fairy tale, or you can relate to it from the Bible, or wherever you get your information from, and it sits right with you, that's a frequency. That's a frequency that you're recognizing. There's something in there that you'll have to find yourself. I'm not going to do that for you. And as long as you allow yourself that, okay, I have to grow from this, I have to grow through this. I wish that there was a lot more that I could do for these people out there that need help and stuff. I need my own form of help. So if I can take care of myself, that's something less that somebody else has to do later on down the track. It's like when we go out there, we can use the internet right now to upgrade our skills that we have right now, so that when we do the circuit again, if we do the circuit again, I really believe we do. When we come back, we'll have that much more information because we allowed ourselves to enjoy it. The way you hold on to information is, one, you enjoy it, or two, it's traumatic. Right? So the in between is like, you go to school, you learn your alphabet, and that's it. But you can go further than that. You can discover that the alphabet is actually holds a frequency, and this frequency can have effects on those around you. You can become that healer because you are aware of the energy within the alphabet. Same with numerology. So, all of these different little areas have a little bit of gold, a little bit of treasure to them. And when we find it, I mean, my treasure might be totally different to your treasure, but it's treasure no, nonetheless. It's like the red pill or the blue pill. Everybody says, which one do you want? Which one? You're telling me there's a choice, but wait a minute, just because the exterior is a different color and you're giving me that choice doesn't mean the interior is different. It's the same concoction as far as I'm concerned. It's like when the jungle juice went round.
The
You
hokey
know,
pokey, a lot of people did that hokey pokey dance. Yes, ma'am.
oh yeah. Yeah, when that all went round, there was the other one with it too. The parasite cleanser. They don't put something out and without there being a backup. And if there's a backup, you can pretty much guarantee it's for those that are not going to follow the norm. Okay, so I still am very apprehensive, and I'll stay away from ivermectin. I'll stay away from that. If you can't do it yourself, you're still going down that same line of thinking. You'll get someone else to do it for you. Do your research. Work out what it is that they're actually doing against you. The electricity, what can I do to dumb down some of this electricity? I mean, wherever I go, I can hear this constant hum. It's constant, but I can hear a different tonality if I stand under a light. I can hear the electricity through that light bulb, or a socket point. Even when it's switched off, I can still hear stuff. When there's total silence in the house at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I can find where energy is coming from. So, we've all got these senses, but if we don't allow ourselves to use them, I mean, getting up in the morning, getting dressed, having a shower, having your coffee, doing all that, that's the motive skills. That's you getting up, you're getting going, you're on the road, da 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 da. But what about the breathing, the listening, the actual hearing of your body of what's going on? And hey buddy, how you going today? Let's go. We got to get this and this done, and I'll give you this and this amount of time. Yeah, we forget to take care and listen to our inner voice, our inner knowing. It's there. It keeps us safe and it keeps us protected. Um, Going back to the weather warfare, we got the fire in the trees, inside the trees, in the center of the trees. That to me was nanoparticles from the chemtrails into the soil that was dried out because we all had drought. So these trees were hungry, the ground was hungry, the plants were hungry. So they would absorb these particles. And then comes along this plane with its little big bubble balls on it, zap, zap, and these trees start fire from the inside because there's enough nanoparticles in there to actually catch light. Because you think about the resin that you get from trees. Then you go into, and the dryness of the soil. Then you go into the storms. Then you go into the flood. Then you've got fires again, and they've already come, they've already wiped it all out, they've cleared it up, they've gone through the, oh, there's blue things left everywhere. But the rest of the township's annihilated. Come on already. And then
Well,
they
look
come
at
back and do it again. When are
blue.
you
Blue
gonna
is kind of
bloody
an
wake
Yeah, and I think blue is a really interesting color because I mean, and this is a how long ago were those Miami sorry, Maui, the Hawaiian
up?
fires, and everybody was making fun, ha ha ha. I guess if you want to survive this, you have to paint your roof blue, and then they were highlighting who owned those homes. Irrelevant
Yeah,
at this point. The idea is, don't go into that whole media BS about, you know, looking at these Hollywood or famous people as having certain homes that had the blue roof and oh, they knew about it. Oh, they're blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. The point is, this is a directed
yeah,
force that is using a frequency. So I kind of changed that wet word that would be DEW into that, right? It's wet and
yeah,
it's using a frequency that does not align with something that is blue. What's my
yeah.
favorite color? Can you tell? And I'm sitting there thinking, dang, do I paint my roof blue or what? And my car is blue, so I guess if I'm on the road, I'm okay. But I think though the thing though about this, you mentioned about the ivermectin, and I think that what I herald back to, all of these treatments, medications, things that you're going to find in the pharmakia. Look that up because that's important, right? The pharmakia is that there's an isolated, they're isolating a certain component that makes it stronger. What the holistic view is, when you take that whole thing, it's activating things within your body and in your biome and in your energetic field, that is going to address anything else that's outlying. So when you're talking about ivermectin, there are natural alternatives to that. When you're talking about what is it? Hydroxychloroquine, this is not medical advice. Go seek the advice of a licensed practitioner. This is what I do. So if you want to make something like what is it? I have it in my little uh I have the quinine. If you want to do
Okay.
quinine, you can make that. I've made it many, many, many times.
Yep.
Super good. Be close to a bathroom if you're not used to it. Uh, right? Am I right? I'm not
Yeah,
kidding.
it just means that you've had too much of it, okay? When your body says you've had too much of the vitamin in it, that's when it's like, yeah,
It's
you
either that or bro, you gotta get that. Your body's going, oh my God, we have a way of getting this out of us. Data dump. There
yeah.
and literally don't chip the porcelain because it changes. It does. All
The
right. So
terminology.
there is I can't remember what the natural ivermectin is, but I know it does. It changes the sounds, the frequency, and they have changed. It's been in
Yeah.
the last 2 days. There is something over here that I'm hearing that's different, and it's intermittent. It's not like a what do you call it? Did it that the dots and dashes?
Morse code.
Yeah, it's not like a Morse code, but it's very intermittent. It's like I'm getting your attention. You're tuning into this. That we're up over here, and it's like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
those sounds will dissipate once those sounds dissipate, because what I hear perpetually has modified, it's changed, it's much more toned down. And I think it's because when we do clear our field, and one of the ways we do clear our field is through using those natural remedies, those things that are more holistic and whole because there are things that science says, oh, science, that, that other
Yeah.
religion, that they will go ahead and they'll take these components and they'll isolate them and they'll make them like super potent, just like they do with THC.
Yeah.
Look what they've done to that. That's like, you talk about it was a superfood before. Now it's a superfood on amplified steroids. It's toxic. People get addicted to this.
Yeah.
So changing the sounds in our frequencies can start with our thought process, but when we start feeding our biome, feeding our mind first, feeding that biome, that's not an ascension, that's an expansion. That creates a realization of who we are and what we are. We're
Yeah.
already big.
Yeah.
We're just realizing it. We're remembering.
Yeah, that's been a big topic this week has been the remembering, bringing back together, bringing it's not just the information, it's the splintered cells.
Yeah.
When I said splintered cells, it's splintered cells. These are versions of ourselves that have been out there doing. I was doing a discussion, oh God, I can't even remember now. And it was to do with s- splitting ourselves off in protection in traumatic events. So everything that we experienced in from, say, a good day to the darkest of that day, that whole day's gone. That day is now. One of the things that happened to me was any good times I had was overshadowed by something abusive on the darker side of, what I was being raised in. So I didn't have too many good memories that I could go back to and say, oh, I've got a good memory over here. I can hold on to that one because it was overshadowed. But at the same time, what had happened was I segmented that and I put it on the shelf. I put it somewhere else. I didn't have to deal with it. It wasn't mine. So what I was accidentally doing was I was taking all the skills I had learned in that space of time and I had put them into another version of myself. So now when I'm bringing myself back, I've got to I'm not just doing the shadow work to release what it was that made me do that to myself in the first place. Because like I said, we want to survive. The physical, the mental, and the spiritual want to survive. And a lot of the time, the problem that we have is we fight ourselves for self-freedom. We want to be able to do certain things, but our minds stop us from doing them. And it comes down to the perception. The body will say, yes, you should do it, or no, you shouldn't do it. The mind will say, well, I want to, and the body will say, well, this is what you could be in for if you do it. So that split was constant. That split was always happening. And when we bring that back into unity and we can communicate with the dark side as well as the light side of the experiences. When I say light side, I'm talking about the skills that we obtained in that time that we never used because we splintered off from it. Now, I have what I call innate abilities. We all do. But I've proved to myself personally what these are. There are things that I've done in this lifetime that I have absolutely no idea where I got the abilities to do them. And when they had to kick in, they kicked in. It's like some superwoman coming and lifting her car up to save the child that's stuck inside it. Suddenly out of the blue, I was able to do something, diffuse a situation physically. And we have these abilities if we allow ourselves that connection. What you were saying earlier on about schizophrenia and stuff. In the back in the day when I was knee high to a grasshopper, I'd see this old man walking down the street all the time, and he was always talking to himself. And I said to whoever it was that was with me, some parent, guardian, something, why are they always, who are they talking to? you know, I saw other stuff. I saw other stuff around this person. It wasn't just this person. He wasn't alone talking to himself. He was talking to other presences that were around him. But I wanted to know if other people could see what I could see. And of course, I always got basically shut down. You're a freak child. Don't talk like that, you know. But it was like you can't be seen talking to yourself. And it's even worse if you're seen answering yourself back. So that was a big thing for me. I didn't want to be because I was already being shut down asking those questions. It must have been a bad thing. So later on in life, I started finding myself walking down the street, talking to myself, and it was like, okay, I need to get this and this from the supermarket. Oh, wait on, I've only got this amount of money, so what can I actually get? And then I realized I'm talking to myself and I'm answering myself back. But it was okay because, I still managed to get everything on my list and some, and still have some cash left over. If I didn't have these internal voices, I wouldn't have my internal discernment either. Knowing like I'll say to myself, wow, but this time when I go supply shopping or supply hunting next, I want to get this and I want to get that. Oh yeah, I really crave it. I get there and I'm going, no, practical mind. We only need this and this and this. If you want that other stuff, you have to make it from what you've got. That's how the system in my system works.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting though too when you're talking about voices, and I know that people in our realm like to try to put people into boxes. Try to,
Oh,
it's like, oh, don't label people. It's okay to label. The thing is, look at all those ingredients in that label. You might
yeah,
say somebody is talking to themselves, but the ingredients for that talking to themselves could be completely different to somebody else who's appearing to be doing the same thing. You can have two jars of strawberry jam. They could look very similar, but the ingredients list could be vastly different. So,
yeah,
it's okay because it's okay to put a label on something within your own heart and mind. It helps keep you safe. It helps you try to get some sort of comprehension as to what's going on around you in the world. So you don't be afraid of trying to, I don't know, you can even put like things in categories. It keeps you safe. It's like people say, well, the ego, we need to do with ego death. It's like BS. The ego is what keeps you safe. It's
yeah,
okay as long as put the bicycle pump away, stop inflating it, and you're going to be okay. But it's there to keep you safe. It's like with everything. And I've had this conversation, I think, with you too, Stone, about and a couple other people about how we have to make sure that the light and the shadow, it's not really dark, it's just shadow. How if you're more brilliant, that shadow is going to appear darker. When you walk in from outside and you've been in the sun, the bright sunlight, you come into a house, it can have all the lights on in the world, but it's still going to look darker to you because it's shadowy. It's a different kind of light. So you kind of have to take all things into perspective when we're talking about that, the light, the shadow, the labeling. It's okay. It's okay. This is the difference between being judgmental and using good judgment.
yeah, yeah. When you're saying that, it's like when it came to the ego side of it, ego is there to protect. Ego comes out like and when we're younger, we're taught to lie. We're taught all the bad things from an early age because we mimic. We learn it from those around us. We learn it for safety reasons, peer pressure reasons, groups that you're never good enough to fit into, or this, that, and the other thing. It's ego comes when it's like, okay, it's going to protect you in a certain area. It's a false sense of courage, encouragement. It's like yeah, I appreciate I appreciated my ego and I put it where it's meant to be. It doesn't need to come out. I prefer to stand in truth My fight all my life has been in the direction and the path of truth. No matter what was said, no matter what was done, as long as I retained the truth about my experiences, how I went through them, how it affected me, then that's all I needed. Whatever the outcome may be, it's none of my business because I had to do the shadow work for myself and work out why why things went the way they did, why I chose to be a certain way. I just, humans are humans and I don't trust them anymore. I would love to go back into a time frame where we could be all telepathic again and have our abilities of telekinesis and heal each other and stuff, but we've got to get past this whole the insecurities. We've been divided so long that now it's not an insecurity, it's a survival mechanism. I'm a people reader too. I like to sit and watch people in their everyday actions and stuff. And it's, I stopped doing it for a long time because it is feel like I'm jumping into somebody's breaking the rules of privacy here, breaking the rules of free will because I can see things that others can't see. And I accepted that fact. So we were talking about gifts and stuff the other day, and some of my psychic abilities and that they've always been there. I've always had these abilities, but the abilities I had to adapt to that was when to speak up, when to say something, how to deliver the message. And for a long time it was be direct with the party, let them know exactly what you see so that they have a better footing. And then it got to these forces that I'm interacting with they're not having adverse effects on people, but these things are actually coming to fruition. And how the participant is dealing with it comes back to me in a negative sense, negative energy. So I had to change my format of delivery. So now it's more like I'll tell you exactly what I see, but my delivery system is very different now. I am cautious of damages that could be done, but I will still deliver the message. And when appropriate, when physically, mentally there, you will read that message. You will hear that message. You will hear it in my voice. I'm sorry. Damn it, she said that. Ah, damn it.
Yeah.
But and that's a message to ourselves, listening to our inner voice. We know between right and wrong. We don't need to tell lies. We don't need to fabricate anything. We don't need to embellish anything. Everybody's life, everybody's journey is absolutely so frigging amazing that we just got to allow ourselves acknowledgement that we've done this journey. We did this journey, okay? You did what you did to be where you are right now. And there's some amazing chapters in that journey. So, if somebody says, oh, you didn't do much in your life, you didn't do this. Well, actually, mate, I can actually tell you I've done a hell of a lot more. But if you're telling me I haven't done much in my life, that's fine with me. I don't need to share any of it with you. Adios. Don't waste your energy. Be able to recognize the energy vampires. Recognize you can hear it in the tonality. I've watched people's personalities totally flip when they go from being with one person, like me having conversation individually, to now us being in a group of people and in person and watching the way that they change. Watching the masks they put on, watching the way that they protect themselves, making sure they don't say something that's wrong. Yeah, it's really interesting the games that people play. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. I'd rather just sit there and watch and say, oh, I saw that. I see you. I see you.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting, but the about the there's no need to lie or hide or anything like that, and there is a degree of emotional and spiritual
Yeah.
maturity that I don't know if we've necessarily been robbed. It's not we've been robbed, but it's like it's a stunted growth. And it's going to be a different rate for everybody. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it goes back to whatever there are a lot of words that I think are losing their value, like
Yes.
resonance and frequency, and it's becoming more complex to be able to kind of figure out, well, what works in that particular situation. Because, when you say something, and someone had posted something on Facebook, I don't remember who it was, about, well, if something, it's like back in the 60s, if it made you feel good, you did it, right? It wasn't necessarily good for you. It wasn't healthy, and it probably killed a lot of people. And it's the same thing today. If you resonate with something,
Yeah.
you better take a step back and with everything that
Yeah.
resonates with me. And it's like, if you're resonating with somebody who wants to do harm to another, or you're resonating with something that you feel like is right and it's very possibly wrong, you got to ask yourself, really ask yourself what it is about that information or that feeling that makes you feel like it's, oh, it makes me feel good. I resonate with that. Why?
Yeah.
Why you could be an absolute jackwagon, and the next thing oh, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
Well, great. You resonate. You know what? I know a lot of people have a bad vibe, bad taste in their mouth with people like Bill Cosby. There was one of the things that I heard him do on his one of his stand up and stage things was he said, he would ask people, "Well, why do you do drugs? Why do you drink so much alcohol?" And they would say, well, because it amplifies my personality. It removes inhibitions. And he looked at them and he goes, well, what if you're an asshole? I mean, really, it's like, are
Yeah.
you going to align with that?
Yeah.
That's probably a good thing to kind of take a step back and think about. If it's something that you resonate with, great. I hope it
Yeah.
works out for you. Because if it's
Yeah.
going to do you harm and you're not going to listen to people saying, hey, that might make you feel good, but it's probably not a good choice.
Yeah.
Being in the substance use disorder field for a few years, that one of the things that was common throughout that time was that when they would use certain substances, they would describe it to me. I'm not going to say what it was, but they said it was the breath of God. It was like receiving the breath of God. It was and they was just, ah, it's like, yeah, how
Yeah.
many years have you been clean? Come on
Yeah.
back over here, right? Because you start doing that again, I don't want to go to a funeral.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you got to be careful with what you resonate with, what makes sense to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's so many there's so many things. All right, we got so the protection part, we got to, when it comes to everything that's going on at the moment, I recommend a bug out bag. Okay, this is a bag where you put necessities, like you've got to run out the door and you might not be coming back to anything. All right, might all be gone. So just one or two things that you can carry. I mean, I've done this, I don't know how many times. I've had to start again. The house got blown away in a storm. It's been burnt down. It's been washed away. One thing or another. Lived in a caravan. We got attacked one day. We had a swarm of cicadas. Or I don't know if you call them locusts. They were about this big. They were huge. I'd never seen them that big, and they just bombarded the caravan, broke all the windows, and just swarmed in. So, there's all these weird things that can and will happen if you don't. You say you don't expect that to happen. I can expect it to happen. So it's
Expect the
like,
unexpected kind of thing. But yeah, you're
yeah,
right. It's just like when you go out, even when you just walk out the door. I mean, you're not going to
yeah.
necessarily remember to do all that stuff, but in the back of my vehicle, I can't say I have a bug out bag per se. I'm not going to put food in there. I probably could.
Well,
I have some food actually that's 25 years safe.
okay. Yeah. Well, when I'm talking bug out bag, it's like, silver blankets that'll keep you warm, a first aid kit if you need it, personal ID, torch, something that'll keep yourself and your family warm for a couple of days. Like you can stick a tent in there and all sorts. The tents are so compactable now that you can stick it into a backpack, or stick it onto the backpack. Um, fire starters, they are important for warmth. Going back to some of the basic survival techniques, making sure you've got decent hiking shoes, this sort of thing, just little personal preps that you should have ready on a whim, just like this. When I'm talking about food in the bug out bag, I usually take things that are dried out that I can reconstitute with water, as well as having something to make sure that the water is clean. Know how to boil the water if you need to, if you're in that situation. Know how to go into an open area and get help if you need to, so that when the chopper's going over or whatever. There's all these different little things that this is a time when we're going into, I'm gonna sorry, RAW, back to front, okay? The raw time is raw time. We are in a silent raw time, and this is where we do need to watch our backs. We do need to listen to what's actually going on around us. Take note if you're going to get a storm. We're having storms over here now, and I looked at the map. I think I sent you a picture of it earlier. I can't go into my local town. Both roads that I would normally take are totally out. They're out. So basically, I'm stranded on a hill in the middle of nowhere right now, and I'm loving it. Where the
Hey, if you can't get out, that means nobody can get in. I'm good with that, right?
It's like the forces have told me you can't go anywhere. Right before
Mhm.
it all happens, I have to bung up my leg. So this
Mm.
is, I look at the other messages are stay where people know where to find you. Have a backup plan. Let people know that if for some reason suddenly you get a downpour and you were washed away like all these other these lost souls, have a backup plan so you can contact your relatives or whatever, so they know where to meet you and make sure you're okay and all of this. And there's so many areas we have to start uniting ourselves. As much as I'm not a people person anymore, I still know that I have these skills that, if needed, can be called on. Emergency, yeah, first offenders. Sorry, first offenders.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Ooh.
first offenders. Oh, geez, what am I
Only gee
saying?
willikers.
Well, I look at, when we have these devastations, what is the information that they first gather? Everything about you. All right. Oh, so you need to sign on the dotted line. I went on a dotted line, not a straight line.
Right.
There's all these little avenues. I was in a situation not too long back where, my mental capacity was at war. It was at war with the forces that were going on around me. And when I went to ask for help, which I very rarely do, what I was shown was every single avenue was connected. They were all a tentacle of the same octopus, and all they wanted was for me to sign my life away so that they could have full operation. And I said, no, I don't like this. I don't like the what I was seeing. When somebody hands you a blank piece of paper and it's got a logo on it, that piece of paper, anything that you write on that is now under the guidance or control of that organization because of their letterhead. They own you, they own that information. And this is what they were doing. These medical industries, all these different authoritarian organizations want you to sign on the line so that they can take full control. And yeah, I did common law years ago, and I've been trying to stop people from doing this. Read the small print, discover what a true line is and what the dotted line is.
I
A
think
little
all
bit.
of our I think all of our checks, if you write a check, that is not a solid line. It's a dotted line. And I can't remember the gentleman's name. He's passed away several years ago, and he was one of those guys that was uh tip of my tongue, his name. was really pointing out that the difference between the law, the land, air, and water, the law,
Mm.
LAW,
Yeah,
and the difference between the common law and the maritime law.
yeah,
That's something that I believe is very, very important right now. But also, there's a lot of legalese, and that's a whole other topic, and you can do a little bit of research on that too. That's another way that we can keep ourselves safe.
yeah,
And it does take a degree of savvy,
yeah,
chutzpah, if you want to use a Yiddish word, is a chutzpah, you gotta have the
yeah,
cojones, you
yeah,
know, right? Bazizi, if it's a Sicilian word, I think. You gotta have the gonads to carry it out, and those come from a solid and seated realization, comprehension, and integrating that information into your head, that you know what to do, and you're not going to get flustered by these so-called authorities. I wish Elsa was here, because I know we briefly talked about the word of information. It's like in formation. You're lining up for this stuff. There are
yeah,
a lot of words that we're doing that spell casting that is not in our best interest. It is
yeah,
consent, but it is not informed consent. So that's
yeah.
that's another whole freaking rabbit hole that we're
Yeah.
trying
Well,
to go down.
when you do break the words, consent. Where are you sending that information to? You're being conned out of your information. You're being conned to send something somewhere else. Information. You can break that down several different ways. You're in formation, okay? You're lined up. You're just one of the numbers. You've got a number to you. It's called your Regis number, all right? That's at the top of your birth certificate, which, if you look at the small print, doesn't hold weight in any court. There's all these different areas, information, like information, that is for somebody else, and that's information for somebody else. It's not for you. They're taking it from you. So it's like
Hmm.
anything in, like intent, inside, something that's holding it inside. So intent, my
It's
intent is
my
coming from
tent.
inside me. Yeah,
This is my
exactly.
tent.
Yeah. So this is my tent.
Yep.
This is my vessel. It gets me from
Hmm.
A to B. It's very
Hmm.
mechanical. It's absolutely by design.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
You know, I don't know how many genetic changes this template has had, but it's made from genetic matter. It's made from matter that actually remembers. It holds memory in all the muscles, the cells, the veins, everything holds memory. Our water, holds memory. Not just the brain capacity. The heart has to remember how to beat. Eventually, it all switches off. Everything switches off, but the brain doesn't. The spirit doesn't. The spirit is still there. It's still going. So when you go, well, I need to take better care of this vessel, and I know I sound like a cracked record here because I've said this for years. When you start going, what do I stand for? What am I here for? I'm here for an experience. So I want to get the best out of the experience. So I need to know how to operate this vessel. I need to know what this vessel needs to work at its best points so I don't endanger it. So it's like the foods. What do I need? Eventually, I want to be able to break it right down. So it's like that much each day feeds all the organs and everything, and nothing else is needed. I look at the stomach. My medical background has had me in many different places. So when we come to the appendix, I see it as this is a piece of intestine that we no longer use, but it's still there. It's like, they go and chop off bits and pieces of our anatomy, saying we don't actually need it, but it has a function. It has a function. It's there for a reason. It has a function. So, like the appendix is not being used, so it's shrunk down a bit more. But of course, it gets a build up, it's going to cause problems. Without it, it changes our frequency throughout. It's, yeah,
So I remember because there are a lot of people, so they'll just, okay, there's a problem with this, so let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
So rather than figuring out what happened, and now when you do get to a point, I'm not saying not to do something if you're in a position where, something could burst and then, you're basically gone. But as far as the appendix, I believe that they did come up with the fact that I don't know if it shrunk or not. I don't know, but I believe it's something to do with your immune system, just like your
yeah, I did
tonsils.
that.
They used to take the tonsils out a lot. Well, your tonsils are part of your immune system. It's like a filtering system. It's a filtering system for the air that you breathe and the things that you're taking in. So the same thing with your appendix. That was like this little, I don't know, if you have a car and you look at the belly of the oil pan, the oil filter sticks out, and that's kind of what the appendix reminds me of. It's kind of like it runs through this engine, so it's running through the intestines, and you
Yeah.
have the transition from the intestines to the colon. There's this little filter there, so down here, right? So it's quite low. But though I guess the thing is that it is a filter system, and maybe we have kind of been downgraded in that aspect as well. But and like again, like with the tonsils, it's kind of like whenever there's a problem, rather than trying to, for lack of a better way, I'm just going to say detox, they just cut it out. I don't.
Yeah.
There are so many young people in their 20s. I'm not going to give a number because I don't want to, because it's really unpleasant to think that how many
Yeah.
of them have had their pineal glands surgically removed.
Oh,
Why?
because
Why?
they don't.
Oh, there's a tumor.
Yeah.
Well, figure out why the tumor is there. You know why the tumor's there. Maybe they don't because they've not been schooled in that
Yeah.
respect. Not medical advice. I'm just saying there's a lot of weird stuff that happens that's too synchronistic to
Yeah.
ignore.
I'm seeing an increase in people losing body parts.
Yeah.
Um, the other day there was an article, two people lost their legs in the same car crash. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden I saw all of this information just keeps coming in about the same topic over and over again, all these different reasons for it to take place. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going into robotics. This sort of stuff only happens if there's an agenda behind it. Somebody
Hmm.
can make something out of it. Now, certain industries can't work, they'll fail if they don't have us to feed off. So they've got to create the problem, reaction, solution
Hmm.
over and over again. And all these floods and natural disasters that are going on, I problem, reaction, solution. I'm worried about the solution aspect because, okay, how can I put this?
They're profiteers. It's like you have something where you create the problem, but you're very subversive about it. So you create the problem. You don't. You're pointing the finger over there. It's not you that's creating. Hey, there's a problem. Look, and then okay, and there's chaos, and so they create this chaos. Now they've come up magically with this solution, which solution is
Yeah,
that really a solution? No, it's only a solution if they can profit from it. So you
yeah,
create the problem, so you create chaos, and you profit from that solution. And you were talking before about this has been going on for millennia. I'm almost thinking eons. How can we even measure that in this particular space that we're in? We really can't.
yeah. Well, going back to the floods, I know I should get off the topic, but it is real. It's part of it. It's happening all around the world. When you look at the mud floods, the Terrarian mud floods and all of this, it's like, where did our history go? It didn't go anywhere. It's still there. It's just buried. It's just buried. And everything that I've read in the Bible, It's the same thing. It's coming to pass. It's coming to pass. It was controlled back then and it is controlled again today. So looking at that, we can see a timeline of how long these events took place for, where they took place. What was the population? Where did the population move to? How was the population wiped out? Right? What was brought back in its place? What were the political field that came back in? What were their agenda? What came back into? How did they shape the land again? How did housing structures take place? Now, when your community doesn't have enough housing for its own people that are born in that country on that land, that's where the problems start. Then you allow immigration to bring in thousands and thousands more when you don't even have housing for those that live there. You don't have clean water, the infrastructure, there's flaws in the infrastructure right across the board. These governments, if you want to call them that, they have not done the job that they said that they would be doing for the people. It is a selfish intent and it is on a higher level of wiping out the herd, moving the herd to different locations. They want everybody dipped and chipped. They want to be able to, yeah, there's a lot of
Dipped and
nasty dark.
shipped. Only from a woman who comes from a country where there's more sheep than people. Can you hear that? It's dipped and shipped.
I don't even know if that's for real anymore. The amount of stuff that's going on in the farming industries over here about, all the new rules and regulations that farmers have to jump through, they're stressing bricks. They are
Mhm.
stressing bricks. And then you look at the production side of it, the fruit trees and the vegetables and stuff, they're all being wiped out as well, from the heavy rains and the floods and the pesticides and the fires, everything is getting wiped out. When you see that you'll see it in the food. Okay, food will become shorter and shorter on the shelf and it'll become higher and higher in price. If I go to my supermarket right now, 6 tomatoes is over $10. Now I won't I can't justify that at all. But at the same time, I can't justify buying a tin of crushed tomatoes for 99 cents because if I can't see it, smell it, sense it, I'm not putting it in the system because it's probably cloned. I mean, the tomatoes that are going for $10, for six at the moment are cloned. I can't give you the company name, but it's a big one.
Yeah.
It's time to look at what you're putting in the system. If you've already gone down that route and everything, there's no reason why you can't reverse it.
Mm.
Anything that is engineered, it can be reversed.
Mm.
Everything. If this is a reset and they keep doing resets, we can stop that from happening. So, yeah.
Consciousness, awareness, and be careful of tinned products,
Oh,
period.
yeah. Yeah.
Because well, I don't live too far from everybody knows who Dow Chemical is. Most people do anyway. And Dow Chemical, I know someone who has a family member that works there who advised their family to not buy any tinned products. One of the things that I remember as a kid was you had to use that tin product within X amount of time because the metal would break down, especially when it's something like tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's got that acidic level in it that's gonna break the metal down. It's gonna I don't care what's going on. It's gonna break the metal down. What they've done today, and it's increased the shelf life, which is the idea of it. Oh, we have to provide for the masses. Oh, you mean the masses you're trying to croak? So what they've done is they line these and oh well it doesn't have the BPAs or the PFAS and blah 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 all these other acronyms and alphabet soups that they put in. But I'm sorry, the only way that that tin is not going to break down is if you coat it with some form of plastic.
Mm.
It's plastic. And I don't eat with plastic. If something comes in plastic or styrofoam, it's out of that. It's onto I'll take a cardboard box. I would rather eat off of a cardboard box or corrugated box than eat out of plastic or styrofoam. You just got to get it out of there. I can taste it. You let it sit. You get your bread. It's in plastic. I take the plastic off and I put the bread in a paper bag, and then I can tie that off and put it in plastic. That's just me. That's what I do. Not any kind of nutritional advice, but that's just kind of, because I can taste it. I can taste it. I can, and you said that you don't use, you don't use metal utensils. I do have some bamboo utensils. I don't use them very often. I don't have that sensitivity quite yet, but I can tell you, I feel like I'm kind of starting to get there because as we continue to progress, your diet's gonna change, your taste buds are gonna change, your what you can smell, what you can hear is gonna change. I can tell you how different things kind of feel around that when you start realizing that you really do have freaking control over your biome, about your world, about what's going on and what you're ingesting. Hugely important because food isn't just, yeah, I think humans have this. I think it's almost like it could be considered a fallacy because, I don't know, man. I really like food. I like the taste of food. My mom told me I'm addicted to food. It's like, no, if you didn't have the food, you wouldn't be here. You get,
Yeah.
oh man, food is good when you have something that's really good. You're just over the moon with it. But do we really know what that is?
Yeah.
Because even our taste buds have done kind of dumbed down. If you
Yeah.
have a kid that's used to eating sweets a lot and you give them a celery stick
Oh
or
God,
a
no.
piece of cucumber, are they gonna really find joy in that?
Yeah.
I do. Now that I've gotten older and realized that, this whole detox thing is really important and getting rid of the heavy metals and getting rid of some of these other creepy things that they're putting out there. And it's perpetual. It doesn't stop. So you're always detoxing.
Yeah.
Tomatoes, oh man, they taste so good if you get a good one. The
Yeah.
peppers, really good. The same thing with just about everything that you can have. It's going to taste way better. And I
Yeah.
think when we continue that expansion into our awareness, everything's going to start to feel better and taste better. We're going to
Yeah.
live better. We're going to appreciate each other more. We're going to not want to throat punch the neighbor because they did something we didn't like. You know, you're gonna find a way to make things work, Ben, everybody's had something crappy happen to them in their life, something really unpleasant. No
Yeah.
descriptions necessary. Apply it to your particular situation. We all have. This is where that system that people say is broken. No, the system's not broken. It's intended for trauma. It's intended to profit off our trauma. And I say no more.
Yeah. When you can see what the trauma patterns are, you can reverse them. You can go deeper than that. Okay. That was another topic. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're
That was
good.
another topic was shadow work. Like at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of focus going into ancestral trauma. All right. So, okay, how can I put this? So me personally, I'll go from my own personal experience. Me personally will be carrying not just the trauma that was created in my time around here, but also in my parentage, my parents' lifetime, their trauma, their personal traumas. So I'm already carrying theirs, and then I'm carrying their parents, and then so on and so on, ancestral trauma. So when I look back and go, okay, this person dealt with it this way, and this was the trauma that unfolded. Was it their trauma that they created for themselves, or was it trauma that was created for them? So when I can go, I can now go back into that because of what I've gone through myself. So, but then I go, okay, you are aware of the trauma that they went through, but they didn't stop being perpetrators. They still played that game and they still perpetrated, and they knew they did so knowingly. So that is not trauma that I'm going to deal with or I'm going to work with or even try to dispel, because That's their trauma. Don't let their trauma affect you. If they know what they're doing and they continue to do it, walk past them. This is for those that are the hardcore ones that deal with it the way that I deal with it. Everybody deals with their trauma differently. Everybody deals with their ancestral trauma differently. But I'm only speaking to those that deal with it with the I basically say, school of hard knocks, you deal with it, you get on with it, you move forward. You don't dwell on it, you don't let it fester inside you. Of course, there's always going to be some trigger points and stuff, but they get easier over time because you can see where they're coming from and they lose their power. Like I said, like Auric was saying, shit loses its power after a while. Okay, we start waking up to it and say, well, that I never did that, I didn't create that, I don't know where that came from. If you thought that was happening with your overthinking situations, if you can't speak to the horse's mouth straight away, then stop trying to make it into something that it wasn't in the first place. So we break it down and saying, okay, trauma, self, I did it to myself or somebody else did it. So I break down which is which on there. So I can apologize to myself for the shit that I did. And I can also apologize to myself for the stuff that I wasn't aware wasn't right in the first place. And then I go, okay, now why wasn't it right? I see where the hurt came from. All right, I can let go of that now because it's not mine to carry. It's gone. It's moved on. I spoke to my inner child. We built a friendship. I mean, what I'm saying sounds very short and easy to do, but it's taken me all my life to get through some of these areas and actually say, I now can see it clearly. I can now get through it. These are not cures. These are just tools that I've built over the time and put into my toolbox to manage the shit that does come up from time to time. The ancestral stuff is like, what did they go through to get into did they do it to themselves or will somebody else do it to them? Forgiveness is important to yourself. I personally don't feel I need to forgive anybody out there for what they did because by me giving them forgiveness for that, I'm giving attachment. I'm saying that that is an attachment cord. I don't need to do that. I'd rather not have anything to do with these people. Let those around them know what happened and then move on. That's it. Whatever they do with the information is up to them. Um, the next one was skills of survival and what our ancestors went through. They had skills in different areas that we don't today because we live in a disposable society. Most of them lived in a hard knock society. I know people who don't have relationships with their kinfolk because you don't communicate with me every minute. Mate, I live in another country. I live on another planet. You don't live in my reality. We don't communicate. Don't expect shit from me because I'm not there for that. You know, allow time for your growth. I see a lot of people at the moment reaching out for different reasons. You know what's going on in your reality. You don't need Tom, Dick, and Harry telling you what is coming next week. Start listening to yourself. Start being honest with yourself. See what is going on around you. You know what you can tolerate and what you can't. If you're still in a stuck state and you're still crying over spilt milk, the only one that's going to help you is yourself. You keep getting the same answers from many different people. It's time to actually listen to you. It's time to listen to you getting the same answer. Nobody's going to change it for you. You got to do the work yourself. This is where I talk about the shadow work. The shadow work is important. It's about finding that balance. So between the shadow and the light, I don't see the shadow as a dark thing. It's just another version of myself. And to keep me balanced is that light and that shadow. I like to sit in the dark. I don't like to sleep with the light on. I like the darkness. I see better because I allow myself to be awake in the darkness. Last night I stepped outside. It was absolutely pitch black. But the night vision camera picked it up like it was almost daylight. And, it's like, wow, we can do that with our own vision if we allow ourselves that perception. And the whole thinning of the veil to get a better insight to who we are is change your perception. All this negative energy, and this is the work that I do, the negative energy that is surrounding you can be transmuted into a positive, usable energy. All right. We don't need to be these trauma victims anymore. We are these energy generating energies. I don't like to use the same word twice in the same sentence,
That's
but
okay. It's all
you
good.
know,
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of complex trauma,
yeah,
and don't hold to one perspective because there are different views that I saw somebody was talking about something else, and they had this. It was like if you took a piece of glass and it was very soft edge. It wasn't blunt, faceted. So it was very soft edge, but there was like, and it didn't seem to have any kind of, you know, you would think of something that has so many sides and so many sides. Have four sides here, five sides here, four sides. You know, it didn't have that. It was very chaotic, if you will, but it had this beautiful structure to it. And this it was kind of like rotating. And I thought, well, that is like a facet. And each individual is a facet. And if you have the facet and you're looking at something, and you're somebody else's faceted over here, you're going to see that same situation in a different aspect, because so the facets are aspects. And that's kind of how complex trauma is, because we're taking these different views and we're permitting ourselves to have those different views because it facilitates, it helps us get through this healing point. And
yeah,
when we have that, and you talked about forgiveness, and I don't think you're going to forgive other people. I don't think it's necessarily necessary. The forgiveness part has to come within yourself to forgive yourself. And the rest of it doesn't really give an F. It doesn't
yeah,
matter, because when you forgive yourself for, I've put myself in that position, whether you chose it or not, you found yourself in that situation, you forgive yourself. When you forgive yourself, it doesn't matter. There is no need to say, "Oh, I forgive you." No, it doesn't exist anymore. You've
yeah.
forgiven yourself
Or
for
gay.
whatever your situation was. It's like you talked about a veil. The veil isn't thinning, it's dissolving.
Yeah,
It's dispersing. It's not that it's there, it's just dispersing. And that's kind of what the forgiveness thing is. You forgive yourself. I don't have to go to somebody else and say I have to forgive you. Ooh,
yeah.
times
That's
two. And it's so when you have that healing with and the forgiveness with the self, it's kind of like if you look at yourself taking action, it's and you want to really expand yourself and have that better life. You're going to have to be the mommy bird and the baby bird all at the same time, and you're going to have to get out your big ass foot and kick yourself out of your nest,
yeah,
because that's what that mommy bird does. It kicks the bird out of the nest and it forces it to fly. It forces that little guy to fly. It forces
yep,
us to fly. And that's kind of what I'm personally, now I'm just sitting there thinking of. That's where I am at in my particular situation. It's
yeah,
like I wasn't expecting these things to happen that are happening in my life, but I kind of did. I mean, it's like when it happens, like, oh, damn, I didn't expect that to happen now. I thought that was like, all right, we have to have this discussion. I needed to be better prepared for this. But that's okay, because now it facilitates a whole nother spiral of growth within me. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is like the best freaking thing ever. As long as I'm not going to prison, I'm good. So, it's like this big expansion thing. I would never do anything to put myself there. Well, if
yeah,
somebody lies, don't be lying, because you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
I mean, you get this right. So it's like this, the darkness and the light. We kind of talked about that already, but there is this ability to see that darkness and that dark sight that we have. You talked about the cameras. We have that,
Mm.
and you turn on a light in the morning, and we're like, oh shit, I can't see. But the thing is that is like a dark sight.
Yeah.
When I was staying with a family member, and I was like, I'm not turning on any lights. I can see perfectly freaking fine. We lived in the. I don't remember. I don't think there were any like street lights. I think there was like a horse farm across the road, and they had like something over the barn. But the thing is that I would walk around the house. I would not have any problem with like get my coffee doing this and going. I wouldn't turn on brush my teeth. I don't care. Brush the teeth, whatever you're going to do, get dressed. I would not turn a light on. And I would be in a room doing something, and the family member would come through and they're going, and they turn the light on. It's like they didn't expect me to be there. I was like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
good to see you. And they're going, why didn't you turn the light on? They would be mad because they got scared because they didn't expect me to be there because the light wasn't on.
Yeah.
I don't need the light. Why do I want to burn that and cost you money? I'm not going to do that. But I guess that's the idea that we get used to that and we're able to function in a good space because
Yeah.
there is always light. Even what is that biblical phrase that, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you will
Yeah.
lead me. And we are leading ourselves through that. I feel particularly, I don't feel like anything dark. I feel like things are very well illuminated.
Yeah.
But as their shadow stuff going on, absolutely 100%. Hi Renee, hi Arizona. Um, yeah, so I think when we have that dark sight, that's actually when we're seeing that light within that darkness, that's the love aspect. That's
Yeah.
seeing the light from within and emitting it out. And hopefully others will be able to pick up on that
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah.
bit of goodness. But
When you were saying,
wowzers, that was like freaking deep. We could really take that in a whole nother
yeah,
gang skippy direction for that, right?
when you were saying that, there's one unique thing about us all. We all want somewhere where we can belong, where we came from. We're all wanting to know where we belong. And it's like there are things that we will do as humans, as a human mindset, so that we do belong somewhere. The whole abandonment, all these, there's so many different psychological aspects that they've put into place and into play so that we are in this position of our uniqueness, wanting to belong somewhere. And so
Mm.
when you take the terminologies and break them down, you do belong somewhere. You were birthed here. You belong here on this earth. The physical concept belongs here on earth. Meanwhile, the spiritual self aspect is free to travel somewhere else. I do see us in some sort of a net as well, a net system, a spiritual net system, and it engulfs a lot of different planets. So when we do pop out of this shell, we can pop into another, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen them.
And the other thing that I got from you was that there is a difference between being scared and being startled. And I hear a lot of people saying, oh, they got scared by that spirit. Well, how can you get scared by that spirit when you don't know that spirit? You can be startled by seeing it, you know, and then the fear factor will jump in. Oh, where are they from? What do they want to do to me? Why are they in my space? They can watch me all the time. So there's the scare factor, and then there's the startled factor. The scare factor will put us into fight and flight. It will put us into different mindsets. The adrenaline will start pumping, which changes our dopamine levels, and we start seeing other stuff starting to show itself. Depending on your state and the chemicals you're producing, can also play a role in our frequency of what we're able to see, envision, what is it sensed around us. So it's like, know the differences between being startled and being scared. Scared is you're going to hide away under that bed, under that sheet, in the bloody wardrobe, under the clothes. Scared is for your life. You're not going to breathe, right? You're terrified, or that's what scared to me means. You're apprehensive about taking that next step. That's what scared is. Doesn't mean shit. Startled is the same. Somebody gives you a fright. Oh, it happens here 24/7. I've got housemates that will hide in the dark and wait and be silent for at least 10 minutes. I'll know that they're there half the time because they creak around when they walk. And it's a game with us. It's about how stealth can you make yourself, you know? And the places that you hide and you can squeeze yourself into just for that little fact that you can give somebody else that fright. That I like the fright factor because it keeps the heart ticking. It keeps the mind functioning. The swearing, I love it. I love the whole, oh, you shit, you got me again. Yep, okay, point to you. That's it. And then we move on, wait for the next no, next unexpected move to take place. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny. It reminded me of just being a kid and
Yeah,
being that, I've often referred to being thrown into, the deep end of the pool, when I want to do something, thrown into the deep end of the pool with no water wings, but I was also that kid literally as a child. When we did go to an amusement park, so-called amusement, and you'd go on that roller coaster, I wanted to be either in the very front or I wanted to be in the very back.
yeah,
Regardless of where I was sitting, I did not want to be in the middle. I didn't want to be the normie. I mean, in a contemporary sense, I'm relating that today. But the other aspect is too, I was also the one who had their hands thrown up in the air. When you went over that crest and dropped, you could not see the bottom of it. But I literally would have my hands thrown right up, straight up over my head with absolute joy at the feel. Because it's almost like you were reconnecting with a different aspect of self. And I don't know if anybody has had any dreams of flying dreams.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, they're just the best ever. And I'm not talking about having because I have memory of a family member who was a pilot, had a hangar at a local airport. It was an international airport. And, hey, we're going to go up and do this. And I dated at a guy who was, eventually ended up in the Air Force. And hey, you want to go flying? It's like, my hands up. That was one of the best and most beautiful experiences. Was there was such freedom sitting in the, and it was a small plane. It was a, I joke, it was like it's a two butt kitchen. Definitely, this is a two-butt plane that I was sitting my carcass in. And you felt everything when that engine, when he turned the key to turn that engine on, the whole thing rattled, and you were part of it. You were like,
yeah,
oh man, I'm not hanging on to anything because this is the best experience ever.
yeah,
It's like I'm almost relating it to the experience of when we were talking about the Narnia books, and they were, I'm sorry if I bring this up too much, but that's really something that's relevant to the spirituality that's involved. It's a lot of different levels involved with those books that he didn't come out and say. That, when these kids were in their 3D realm during this conflict in the 40s, and then they were thrust into these, into the wardrobe, into that world. The colors were more brilliant, the food was more brilliant. But when those characters, there were two of them, had crossed over, they were now in a place that smelled even more amplified, more expressive. And I think that that's where a lot of the adrenaline seekers, or the people that have these heightened awareness experiences, like me enjoying that flight experience, that was amazing. See, I'm using experience a lot too, to say it.
Yep.
It's that whole idea of that, that's what we're grasping at. That's what we want. We want to have that amplified awareness or feeling, and we don't have that because it's very heavy here. It's
Yeah.
very dull here, and I it's it's I don't want to say that it's okay, but it's like an acquiescence. It's something that we are having to acquiesce to. Not necessarily, yeah, I guess when you acquiesce, you do kind of agree. What was that phrase? I do not acquiesce to your request. Something like that. That was in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's basically the word. It's no.
Yeah.
But I do acquiesce. I do acquiesce to the experience, to the amplified awareness. I do acquiesce to these things that are coming in, as far as, what we want to call abilities, not psychic. These are
No.
abilities to feel out what is around us. It's hard to find terminology now has really shifted it, and I think people's we get a little numb
Yeah.
with the words that we're using.
Yeah. There's a loss of value. There's a loss of value. There's a loss of importance and of value. It's like this goes back to the whole disposable society. It doesn't mean you're just a disposable consumer. It's also disposable mentality. It's like, oh, I have no concern. The empathy is gone. It's like, oh, well, somebody's hurt. Never mind. I can't do anything to help them. I have to move on. There's a lack of, there is only so much one person can do in situations. But when you look at the majority, when everybody has a lack of an empathy, then we could save so many lives if we all banded together. Now, these flickering lights, there's a lot of flickering lights going on. They're flickering at a certain pace. This is a certain frequency that's going on. And if you know anything about epilepsy, you'll know that they are affected by the speed of light, okay? The flicker of electricity and stuff, and sound, and so it's like if you don't close your curtains and they're not fully closed, I mean, you're still going to get aspects of it, because each time the frequency is pulsated out there, whether you can see it or not, you're going to feel some of that. If you have your curtains open and you're sitting there, you're watching it, you're getting a direct hit. Then there's a secondary hit where everything's closed up, but you're still getting the frequency coming through because you're in that environment. And if you're able to sense and know what's going on, you can see your mood swings. And they're going to turn around and you'll see these lights flickering. This is just my concept, by the way. It's still yet to be discovered. So, go do some research, do it, see if I'm onto it or not. When these lights are flickering, when they turn up the speed of these lights, they'll do this around the full moon time, because everybody knows the lunatic stage. Everybody knows that the parasites are feeding, mating, having parties right before the moon. So everybody goes into a chaotic, crazy state. So if they turn around and do the flickered lights at the same time, and you start losing your emotions, or you go through these mood swings, or they don't like me, or oh, they like me too much, or oh, blah 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 blah, overthinking comes into play. So then you go, okay, well, what is the time of the month? Is it full moon? Yep. Is it the lights? Yep. Is it the frequency? See, it's not just your space as well. I mean, I feel really sorry for those people living in these high-rise buildings, and every single person has got a Wi-Fi router and all of this. You guys are frying the shit out of each other. But the government and these organizations are not going to tell you that. They want these devices in your house so they can, it's like night vision for them. They can see you. There's these devices that they have now. This is going to come back to the AI shortly, but you can see the full circle that it goes in. These devices can see you walking around the house. They know what you're eating. They know who you're interacting with. They know what you're saying. Everything is frequency. They can see it. Boom. And you give them permission by buying one of these devices and putting it in your home. This whole smart city, 15-minute cities is way more than what it's actually saying, because that is the ruse. 15-minute cities are going to be have full-on smart devices in all their apartments. That's one thing. That's telling you this is what we're doing. But they're not telling you the depth of those. What they're also not telling you is that you're already in a smart city. If you have these devices around you, you have these cell towers around you, you have a cell phone in your pocket or a beeper or one of those wrist watches, you already are in that system. You're already in the system, whether you've taken the jungle juice, Batman, or not. um, you were saying about what did I have? Relaxing into it. And it was like it's not it's like a form of surrender. You know you can only go so far, both mentally and physically. And it's being able to identify that point where you go, okay, now I need to switch myself. Now I need to put my brain into another mode. This is okay, I can't go any further. When I had the two dragons surrounding me, and it was like, I kept saying, I'm not going to surrender. I won't surrender. I don't want to take that role. And then I found that I had to take that role, not because I had to, but because there was no other choice. If I wanted my existence, whatever you want to call it, if I wanted this experience, this existence, I had to allow myself to learn surrender. There are some things that you cannot change. There are some things that you're never going to find the answers to. It's like, I don't know if this planet is round, but I know that when I've been out there, there's this circle disc thing, and it doesn't look like it's a planet. It just looks like a circle disc, like the one I've got behind me, like my shield. It's round, it's there, and so are all the other things that I see in it. And it can be flat. It could be a dome. I do believe that we are in some sort of dome. If you look at all our, the atmosphere and exonosphere and all these other different layers that are there, stratosphere, these are layers that have been built up over time. These are energy layers that have been built up over time. Then you get into all of the satellites. Now, some people say these satellites aren't real. I personally believe that there have been the technology that we have is a suppressed technology, hundreds of years behind, hundreds and hundreds of years behind. They will allow a certain amount to come out, drip feed us. You just have to look around. They drip feed the information. 20 years ago, we were going into banks and supermarkets, and they already had these cameras out on us. All right, they already knew everything about us. I sat in a security box one day at a at a supermarket with a friend who was the security guard, and you would not believe the data that they collect. All right, you might as well walk in there naked. And I'm saying this bluntly
Yep.
because they can see what's inside you. All
Yep.
right, whether it's whatever orifice it's up. All right, they can see whether you've got a hearing aid on. And every time you walk into one of these supermarkets, they have what is known as a sensor antenna. Those are the things that you walk through, scanning devices. All right, they've already got all the information they need before you even walk through that, because they've got it all around the supermarket. Every shop has them. Now we're living in an age where you've got a sign to send money to somebody. They want to watch every action that we are doing. They don't want you to have any privacy whatsoever. You are the commodity. You are their economic commodity. And when you stop giving them permission and access to everything about you, that's when they enforce these rules. They come out, they go, we want you to do this. Soon we'll all be wearing, if it keeps going the way it's going, we will be wearing onesies.
Not me.
Yeah,
I'll
and
be
I'll be,
worm food before I'll do that, man. I'm telling you. Um, and yeah, for sure. No. I mean, I'm not a particularly fashion conscious individual, but no, you're not going to dump me into a onesie.
oh,
They're made for babies who can't snap and unsnap. I'm just leaving it there where right where it is. But this is almost like this whole thing that you were talking about a little bit earlier. We're gonna have to do something about, I know I mentioned it before about the elves, not elves, not that, but with the elves, because I think there's some attachment to the energies that we're experiencing, some of the things that are happening, as far as some of the what appear to be random
yeah.
fireballs, plasma balls. So these are taking on a life of their own. There was, I think Augie and I had talked several months ago about the pilots are seeing these things, the commercial, because he used to be a commercial air pilot, and he said that there is now some concern about them interfering with these entities. And if we're going to sit there and have empathy over a plant having a level of consciousness, how
Yeah.
much more should we be aware of plasma beings, plasma collectives? Let's face it, the biome that we are inhabiting has communities within them.
Oh, yeah.
This was several months ago. I was listening to a gastroenterologist talk about the communities that are in your gut,
Oh,
just in your
yeah.
gut. And he says it's kind of funny because when you really study them on a longer term, not just looking at something under a microscope, but looking at them as a community, that there are groupies, there are these different ones that have cliques.
Yeah.
There's these little skirmishes. It made me think of West Side Story, the way he was kind of describing, like,
Yeah.
the Bloods and all that. So it's kind of like, you gotta kind of take that micro, but again with the whole macro, because as no matter how big it is or how small it is, it's all kind of, it's different, but it's the same.
Yeah.
The bread, what is it? It's the fractal Mandelbrot, Mandelbrot fractal, where it's the same thing. It looks from when you
Oh,
pull
yeah.
out on it, it looks really complex, but you go in on it, it's the same freaking thing over and over. Oh my God, this is like the
Yeah.
freaking nightmare for me. I got to have different. I can't do repeat. I really can't. And I think that's a big part of being who we are and what differentiates us from from this structured programming, is that that's the organic side.
Yeah.
That's what we need to kind of tap into.
Yeah. When we're
Yeah.
talking, yeah, I've got two things that came up was I got a spike earlier on in the meeting, and it was I got a number 285, and it's a plane. So I felt like there's a plane crash. I don't know why they're connected, but they're connected. So I wrote down the time and everything when that came in, and I also got Acterian. Now I know that's not what I wrote. Okay, I wrote activation, but when I look at it, it's Acterian. Acterian, the species of
Oh, the Arcturus Arcturian. Is that what you
Acterian.
say? Okay,
Yeah,
Arcturian. Okay.
and I must be right because I just got this. I'm getting this, and now I'm seeing a bar going across, and there's space inside it. There's like it's white here, but I can see that there's room in here, and there's something moving around inside it. Like they're looking back, but there's a long bar, and it's like I can see that the white signature on the ends, on the tips, is the base, that is the structure, but there is something inside it that's housed inside, and I can see something moving around inside it. So that I just got, so it's Acterian, and there's something to do with a plane, and there's something to do with the number 285. So I'm going to wait and see what shows up in the next 24 hours with that one. So, and look at that interesting time, 207, 207. That's what I get for me anyway.
Well, give me a second here. Incarnation Day for me, yeah, whatever. So the whole thing for me is that you were talking about something that was coming in,
Yeah.
something that is not really fully formed in your perception.
Oh, when I see it, it'll be like it'll show up like if I'm reading something, one or two words will stand out way more, like they've been bolded, but yet they haven't been. And I will write them down when I see them because then they end up making another sentence. Like we were talking about when we first started about codes and code breaking. They will show up, you know. Like when I'm listening to somebody talking, I will hear a word that doesn't sound like their accent. All of a sudden it'll jump out like some other presence is here is talking through them, sending me a message. And only be one or two words to make the sentence. And so if I write a word down, I will have the intent that like the Acterian that I wrote, it's Acterian that I've written down instead of activation. Activation was what I was going to write down. That's what my brain told me I was writing. But when I look at it and see where it's placed, that's Acterian, and it is a plane, and it is 285. So, I have to.
A plane like an airplane.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
not a plane that's flat.
Not
That's
a plane like as in dirt kind of thing.
so,
Right. So I
yeah,
hope it's okay, but there's two cards that
turbulent.
fell out.
Yeah, that's all right. I grabbed my reading too. That was yeah, yeah. Pregnancy and justice. Well, that's not me.
No, but I think what's really interesting is that it's something about to be birthed, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
something that it's about to, and this is, there's a lot of anticipation when I mean, anybody who's had any kids knows that there's a lot of I didn't
yeah,
personally feel anxiety, but I know some people do feel anxiety when they come, experience that. But this is also about something that I don't know why. Justice, balance. Um, I just noticed she's got that on her freaking head. Look at that.
yeah. Okay, okay. So
And
that's
then
me.
those
Mental.
balance bowls, those puppy ears are not small.
Yeah,
So this is going to be something that's going to, I feel it's like really kind of weighty, but when you're pregnant, you're looking forward, it's like, oh, shite. Oh man, this is going to really be, you just wind yourself up for something. It's like, I could be really crude right now. I'm not gonna, but you go through the process and then you're sitting there and you're going, oh, this sweet little baby. I think that's maybe what we need to see because we need to see let's face it, birth is not particularly tidy. It can be freaking messy. I know there was blood involved. Seriously, like a lot of blood involved with one of mine. The other one was like spat it out like a grape, but there's struggle involved with giving birth. There's anxiety, there's stress, there's a lot. There just seems to be a lot involved with pregnancy.
yeah.
Um, talking behind back, being envious, pettiness, attention seeking. It's like a lack of heart
Oh, okay. Jealousy.
and
Yeah. Okay.
insecurity,
Yeah.
pettiness. So it's like making something out of nothing. And it's almost like that's what that pregnancy is
Yeah.
that sometimes when we're ready to give birth, we wind ourselves up over this stuff and it's not necessary. We can just go ahead and accept the fact that we're going to go through this and we're going to love it. That's how we're going to have to find the balance is we're going to have to love this whole process.
Yeah.
Comfortable? Hell no. But
With
it's going to be something it's they keep saying nobody can stop what's coming.
yeah,
It's
with
like
what
put the
you
freaking baby back in the womb, not going to happen.
with that card, the justice card, it was interesting to see where the scales were resting. All right.
On her head.
Yeah. And the balance. So this to me
Equal.
is mental. This is mental balance. This is mental capacity. The other one that you had, the pregnant woman, it's like I'm feeling like this earth is getting ready to birth something. It is expanding. It is expanding. We're going to have cracks and fissures everywhere. We're going to have volcanoes and everything going off. But I also feel that this rebirthing is not just of planetary space, but is also a new energy coming in. There's like a force just outside of our, I don't know, one of the atmospheres that that makes up our breathable space. The pressure against it is actually forcing the planet to crack in certain areas. And of course, I think this is a limited space, before it all happens. It's going to speed up and then it'll slow down again, like birthing does. At the moment, we have, what is it, Mount Rihupehu, I think it is.
Rupehu, yep.
It's going off every 6 minutes. They're picking up little tremors. So, yeah, I'm also looking at the land space around it. I'm sitting here and I can feel these little tremors every now and then. I'll feel this whole place shake, and I'm like, no trucks. Now, when we get the earthquakes here, if you don't see the truck, then you know because it sounds like a truck going past. When we get an earthquake, it sounds like a truck going past. And if I don't see a truck and the security cameras going past, then I put it down to an earthquake. Then I go to GeoNet and check it out. Usually it's right. So Ruapehu is getting ready to blow its, give a little, hey, I'm still here. And so the whole ring, the what do they call it? The ring of fire is going off at the same time. Okay, that to me is like, all right, there's a birthing canal there. Something in that space is going to be birthed, whether it's another land mass or something, it's coming up. Something's coming out, it's going to extend it yet again. So there is a bit of upheaval. But I also, at the same time, believe that there is human intervention, if you want to call them human, at this point, with the weather, the tsunamis coming on, out of nowhere for no reason, and they're blaming an earthquake that's offshore and nobody can see it or feel it or sense it. So that's interesting too. I did a little bit of a read as well. I got where did I write it? Over here, room. I'll put room so I know. I got need. I pulled the room bone. I got need. I got three of swords, and I got suns will reign. So suns being man, human. Okay, we're not going to get wiped out. We're still going to be here. I see that the need comes in self-reliance and never quit. We don't give up as a species. We don't give up. So self-reliance it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to have to rely on your own skills to resource for food, hunt and gather if you need to. The next one came betrayal, areas that you believed in that caused heartbreak. You didn't think that your fellow man could actually be capable of that. I got
Mm.
emotional pain. So there is attachments to the emotions. Yep, I like that one. Yeah. Um, I'll just finish this and then you can do that one. And I got truth will be revealed. The truth will be revealed. And the reign of sun, okay, the sun will reign. So this is like we will still get through this is something we will get through. We've done it in the past. And the other one I got was the full-on reading, and I'm doing this sped up, by the way. This is the condensed version. Honor your words, honor your wounds. All right. Painful truths are coming to light. How you accept them is how we are going to move forward. All right. You can take it, you can accept them as a victim, which only keeps us in a victim state. There is no room for growth there. Or you can honor your wounds and move forward with what's going on around you, because there are going to be others out there and they're not going to be able to know how to deal with what's hitting everybody at the same time. This is a worldwide thing. This is not just one location at war. This is not just one location being flooded. Look around this whole place that we call our earth, all right, our solid matter that we call home. We're all here together, and see how it's being treated, because it's time to heal our wounds. We've got to start saying no to the invaders, and the invaders are the ones that are not doing the best for our interests. Before, I was going to talk about the Orange Man, the one I call Humpty Dumpty. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Humpty Dumpty has a whole new meaning for me now, but go ahead. Do you have anything to say about Mr. Cheeto?
Mr. Cheeto. Oh, Humpty Dumpty's got a name. Okay. Basically, everything I'm seeing from that area is triggering. This latest black book information, the list that he is nullifying by his actions, he is saying it's okay to be a pedophile, right? It's not okay to be a pedophile. It's not okay to be a leader of a continent saying that it's okay. That's not okay. This is a perpetrator who is perpetrating the nature of humanity. And if you guys over there, I mean, I'm seeing it in other countries as well, but he's one of the biggest ones. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're gonna keep on getting what you keep on getting, and that is wiped out. That is illusions. Oh my God. Anyway, I've got to stop there because I'm going to go down some rabbit holes otherwise. Because he's not alone in this. He's not alone in this. But it is easy to switch this off. But at the same time, we have to be careful, because this is provocation. This is an agenda-based provocation. You know what's in the cards. He knows what's in the cards, and it's all going to come to light. I do not believe that this Humpty Dumpty is the actual original Humpty Dumpty. Okay, I see that the original Humpty Dumpty walked into a tent one day and didn't come out again.
Yep.
You would that,
And
yeah,
yep, and I'm not sure if what we saw prior to that walking into a tent, that was actually
yeah.
what we may consider or possibly be the original. I don't know if there ever was an original prior to our awareness, because something had to have happened prior to that. It really feels like there's something that had happened outside, because really what you're going to see is what they want you to see.
Where
All right.
when did she fall down the steps? And I say that with light breath, because I don't believe she fell down the steps. I believe she
I think it was even way before that. I think the things that we were being allowed to see were all orchestrated. Everything has been orchestrated. These are not the same individuals over
no,
the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, however many decades you want to put on it, because there's been a changing of the guard several
yeah,
times to maintain a particular narrative, timeline, or there's an attempt to do that.
yeah,
So I think the card that I pulled up before was about being fired up, but it's the last, and I know this sounds kind of cliche, but it really is a last ditch effort of those who think they are in control are not.
yeah.
you are already exposed. There are enough people, real people, who know what are going on. Now, what's going to happen is going to be an organization, but not in the way of what is corporate. It's going to have some other name for it because to me, corporate means corpse. It means something that's dead. It's not alive. So they're fired up. They're really fired up. I feel like they're the ones who are in denial. All right.
Yeah,
And you know what? This isn't them. This is all of us. We're kind of confused. I mean, one of the first people I interviewed on YouTube about 3 or 4 years ago, she came from Albania, and I actually ran into her a couple of months ago, and she's doing phenomenally well.
good.
She came from Albania. She remembers her parents standing in line waiting for food, waiting in food, getting in line at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah,
several times there would be nothing left, and then to go from that to the wall coming down and, fast forward where she has this great life here, making a very good living, having a wonderful life. But I guess the point is that, you know, there was a lot of confusion when that wall went down. People didn't know
yeah,
what to do. Her parents didn't know what to do.
yeah,
They didn't know how to take care of themselves. There was no more nanny state to look after you.
yeah.
That was intended. You can't tell me,
Was
oh, those poor people. No, F no. They knew that was going to cause that chaos because then they could
yeah,
profit from it in whatever
yeah,
way they did. I don't know enough about it. So
yeah,
here's the other thing. This is the fourth one that came out was there are options.
yeah,
And we're gonna have to, it's everybody. They have options too. Those that want to maintain that control, they have options too. Fargane, they're not the ones that are going to be making the determination. They say, oh, 5D chess and the Republicans and Democrats. It's like, same damn bird. We're the ones who have the options. They also have options, but I think they're in that other, they're in denial, they're fired up, they're confused. And I'm hanging on to that because we would see a whole lot more chaos if they weren't.
yeah,
I really feel like that this is what's happening. And when I look at the Mr. Cheeto and he's going through the changes that I've seen over the last since 2012, I've only been back in the States since 2014. So, to see this now, it's kind of like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
this is not the same individual. I didn't even
yeah,
know this was like somebody who would be viable for this particular position. Now all of a sudden we're looking at this highly revered individual. The people that want to hang on to that, the people want to hang on to that paradigm, they're there.
yeah, yeah,
And they are fired up, but we need to be fired up as well, but in a good way, without making bad decisions, making good decisions, realizing that we have options. And
yeah,
hopefully they're going to be the ones in denial. We cannot deny that we're all going through this. This
yeah,
is this is a hugely important, my mom felt, oh, this is going to be pivotal, I think.
yeah,
It's like, oh, this is sitting here.
yeah.
So how long is this going to take? Right?
Yeah, it's a season. It's 3 months. It's gonna be ramped up and it's gonna go fast. And because the more we become aware of, the faster we get it, the faster we can respond to it, the more they have to hit us with because they're not going to be able to keep us down. They're not going to keep us under that layer. We are going to rise above it. We do so every single time. Not all of us are going to make it through, but that's just how it goes. You'll be back again, and we'll all be back again. Now, a couple of things you were saying earlier, the pilots seeing these luminous spheres, right? The footage I get out here of these things coming across the sky and stuff, night vision camera, you can see choppers, you can see planes. There's no way in hell's bells that these pilots cannot see what I can see. There's no way. They have to be able to see what I'm seeing because of the trajectory and the angle and all of this. I see some of these crafts switching themselves off, but if I can see it, there was one thing I was taught a long time. If you can look out, they can look in. All right. So if you're hiding behind a curtain, you're not hidden. You're not hidden. If you can see them out there, they can make eye contact with you as well. You just got to know where to look. You got to know the outline that you can see it. If you allow yourself it, you can see through walls. Don't, if you don't allow yourself to be kept in other people's stuck, limited states. You have these abilities, and this is just the same as that. Anyway, if you can see out, they can see in. This is the way I look at it. And the value, we lost what was valuable to us. So what is it that you value? All right now. Don't, yeah, careful how you say it and how important it is to you, because that's what they will target to take away from you. You know, um, wanting to belong somewhere, wanting to be part of your family, or you're always the outsider. You want to be part. You are part of something. You are part of the outsiders group. You are part of something. You're that awareness that those others in limited stuck states don't want to be aware of. But when they wake up, and this is what I'm seeing right now, there is a mass influx of readers, of seers. We're stepping into our abilities and saying, we can use this information. We can share it with what we see. We might not always be right on things, but that's part of it. We're learning to use our abilities. What do I value right now? The fact that I can stay in my truth. The fact that the truth is something they can never take from me. As long as I stick to it, they can't take it from me. They can tempt me in different areas, but they can't take my truth away. And this is one thing I can say, I can share with everybody out there. You can stand in your own truth. And when you know you're standing in your 100% truth or 99% truth, then you're standing in your mana. And they can't take that away from you, however they try to take us out. They can't take that away from us. And they know that we're going to keep being regenerated. We're going to keep coming back until we sort out the who's who and get rid of them. I say years ago we were invaded by these governmental agencies, and I watched um it's not that long ago, a couple of 100 years ago, and we can see when people came onto countries and turned around and took them over, put them under crown rule, which has done nothing for the people. They've done absolutely stuck by none of the treaties and agreements they said they would. They don't match the time and age that we're in now. Like right now, I'm watching the Chinese took over New Zealand and Australia years back, but the people don't want to admit that. When you look at the money, I remember a time when we had the crown's head on the coins and on the notes, money, the fraudulent money that we all use. And it's like that's not there anymore. We have not been under that government for a long time. And it's people just keep going with the same system because this is what they're used to. They don't want to believe that they have to defend, stand up for themselves, go out there and hunt and gather. They don't want to rock the boat, so to speak, because they're so used to these disposable commodities. Have themselves become a disposable commodity. When you put value in who you are, what you stand for, your inner voice, your freedom, your sovereign freedom, it takes on a way bigger picture than just 9 to 5. All right, it really does. Who are you living for? Are you living for yourself and your family that you've produced, or are you living for the government? You know, if your government helps provide housing and all of this other stuff without the bait, without the trigger, without the attachments, then you've got a government doing the job it's meant to be doing. These governments that are running the planet are not for in our best interest, as far as I'm concerned. And put a prime minister, president, whatever in front of me, king, queen, whatever. I'll tell them you're not doing the job that you said you were here to do. So, I have no
So
remorse that
I, I
area.
I think that the part of it too, though, as far as the whole winter thing, and I know people want to see things happen within a certain period of time. And you and I have had discussions about the one lady who was from Japan who had made predictions that had come to fruition, but there was one that did not per se, but I think it did just in a different way. And I think that's the time that we're in right now. People have this whole setup of certain expectations, and we can't have expectations. This is about the creativity that we have within ourselves. And, we don't want to give that away, but then again, we don't want to give that power away to someone or something else that will manifest things that are not in our highest good. So that's what we have to kind of feel that we need to maintain as things that are in our highest good. And the thing that came up was that said wintertime, and I think Aquarius, is that not in the winter?
Yeah.
So that, and that is a fire sign, yes. So there's going to be some action and communication and revelation that's going to take place in that period of time. What we can do between now and then is this is like coming full circle back to what we were talking about before, is this whole evolution of self-love, self-appreciation, acceptance, forgiving yourself first, forgiving
Yeah.
yourself first. The rest of that, once you truly embody that with that feel, you can just kind of take that deep breath and you can it's almost like a line that's being drawn, seated and anchored into wherever it is that you're at. That's the self-love. That's the true self-love. All the rest of the BS, that belief system, that just dissolves.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with somebody before about how a lot of times we can find that, we can feel that, we can embody that, and then that person comes in and goes, wah, and they're going to bring you right back to that whole thing that you were at before. But you know
Yeah.
what that is? That's not you being tested. You know what that is? That's an echo because you
Yeah.
were, oh, you're here, but prior to that feeling that you were centered and whole and forgiving of yourself, there were messages, resonances that were being sent out into the universe, and that's now coming full circle back to you. So you kind of acknowledge it and send it on its way, and you recenter that, you return to that self-love, and that's how we're able to maintain that whole thing of making and manifesting the things that we know that we already are, that we already have. There comes that creepy thing again about the Bible, right? That you have to have that faith. And what
Yeah.
true faith is, it's not blind faith. It's
Yeah.
an informed faith. It's knowing, it's that inner knowing that despite not seeing, it's already here. I just
Yeah.
can't see it yet. That's okay.
Yeah.
But you maintain that long enough, I'm sorry, the alignment that takes place in that universe is it's gonna happen. And it's not gonna happen in the way that we think it is, or even necessarily the way we feel it is, because
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening. I mean, I can attest to that personally, that I did not expect to be going through what I'm going through right now. But that's okay because I'm super happy because I realize that the shits and giggles that somebody else thinks they're having, not going to be so much shits and giggles, pal. You're going to have to take some, I don't know, what is it? It's not kaopectate. I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It's
well,
letting
it-
it's letting
they create,
go. It's letting go. Oh my God.
yeah,
It's a spiritual and mental dump.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's in the alley and it's gone, baby. Let them deal with the flies and all the other creepy things that go along with it.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. That's a
I know,
really,
right? Holy
yeah,
cannoli.
big reset. The reset of ourselves,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that's that's where it
that's a good
starts.
point.
You know,
That,
we're coming into a time where we just no, we're just going to say no. We just don't agree with your politics. We don't agree with your policies. They just don't work for us as a population. We want to evolve from here. We want to make this planet something that it's something better than it is, and that's not by cutting the trees down. Thank you, whatever your face is. These scientists with all this big money, they don't know shit. They don't know shit. They buy their way in and out of stuff because they have some bad attitudes. They have some bad programming, you know?
that ultimately is like bad. You know what? That's the blind faith.
Yeah,
It's not the awakened ones with blind faith. We have an expectation. We might be listening to that echo, but we have that expectation of what we're manifesting is going to be here. It is here. We just can't physically see it yet. But these people that are doing like what you're talking about, those are the ones that have the blinded faith. We
yeah,
can see things, we can hear things, we can feel things, we can embody those things irrespective of what's in this realm around us because we know that what is here, not what's coming, what is here
yeah,
cannot be stopped
yeah.
because we're all here. We cannot be stopped.
It doesn't matter how many times they do this to us. We're going to keep coming back and we eventually they won't be. Eventually they won't be. And we will have a reprieve until the next flood comes across. And I don't mean to be talking about water and floods all the time. I'm talking about flood of interaction stellar wise. I see the real aspect of that coming in. If you think that, for those that don't believe or haven't had experience, if you really, really are still in that place where nothing else exists outside of humanity and animals and trees and stuff, then, well, I'm sorry, this is not for you, and all the best to you because there is a heck of a lot more going on. And we're living in a time right now where it's going to be revealed. I stand for um, T, tea time. That is transparency, exposure, and accountability. And the time is now. I used to have X as the time signal, but I don't like the fact that it's been sort of used as somebody else's little trademark now.
Hijacked once again,
Yep, that's right. It's an energy thing. It is an energy thing. If the X equals time,
and it
and now
marks the spot.
and now they're up there in space with these devices. It just needs a push of a button. It just needs a directive. You know, the whole new ring that's around the planet that nobody's talking about, the mechanical crap that's out there, they can see what's going on down here. So whatever they can see down here, they can see out there in space as well. This is not just, they say there's no such thing as satellites. I am totally in disagreement with you. Satellites have been out there. If they made their way here to Earth and set up base here on Earth, they can still leave Earth whenever they need to because they've got that back engineered equipment. So them out there around are able to see what we're doing down here 24/7, whether you're dipped and chipped or not. All right. Heat signatures, creature signatures, frequency signatures. They have it in their data system. They know what's running around. Or the Yetis, the Bigfoot, the different types of cryptids, they are very well aware of what's going on out there, what's coming and going. There are portals opening up left, right, and center. When you discover that you have true abilities, you are a walking portal because you are multidimensional. That aspect, we didn't get into that too much at the moment, but there's a big growth factor there. Your all the dimensions that you access, and we all do this. We all have several different dimensions we access every single day. A little portion of this information is going to go to A, B, or C dimension. and then it's going to come back to you. It's going to reverberate, like what you were saying. When you speak a word, if you can see we are an energy device and we speak a word, we're going to get a vibration. It's also got to cut through these dimensions. So when it goes out, it's got to come back. One way or another, it's going to come back. If you put your energy, what is it? How's it go? Energy goes where energy flows, where energy goes. Whatever it is.
Well, it's where your attention
Yeah,
goes, energy flows. It's
yeah,
your attention, and I think attention is, if you think about what does attention mean, it's your thoughts. It's that inner dialogue. So your thoughts, where you're paying that energy of your thoughts and emotions combined, hugely
yeah,
powerful. That's the recipe for manifestation into physical reality. Again, you're going to have to deal with those echoes for a minute or two
yeah,
or five or 20,000 years. But you know what I mean, though? It's just that whole aspect of resiliency because we can sit there and say, I've done the mantras, I've done this, that, and the other. I've written this down, I've said this out loud, I've done my rituals. But the whole thing is, if you don't feel that within your heart, if you don't
yeah,
embody those things that you're trying to manifest, it's not going to fricking happen.
yeah.
It's just idle words, and I don't believe what I say. And I like, yes, I'm this magnificent creature. And you look in the mirror and you say, what what a fucking ugly bunch. You gotta turn that around quite a
That's
bit.
programming. That's
And
programming.
we're going right back to the self love. And when you
Yeah,
forgive yourself, there's the self love. The act of self love is forgiveness of self. And the
yeah,
rest of it starts to dissolve. It's not going to be easy. It has to be something that's perpetually maintained. And from a practical standpoint, even forgive yourself when you have that mental relapse because your brain, your essence is kind of not really modified by, but it's driven by your biome. And your biome has these synaptic tracks that you've created over the years, and those need to be, you can snip
yeah,
those. You can actually do that. I no longer consent to this program that is, no longer of service to me, and you can reinstitute another program. You can have that literally, and when you feel that in the core of your being, that's what reduces and eliminates those echoes. Now you're going to start hearing those echoes. One of the things I think I've sent you because I had heard you had gotten hurt, you kind of did tell me a little bit about it. I didn't really, it's not that I didn't care, but my whole thing is, oh, she's hurt. Okay, well, what can I do? All right, I
yeah,
know you really resonate with a lot of the throat singing, so that's why I was sending the throat
yeah.
singing dude, and it was like, it's freaking powerful
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
I was like, I have to turn it up, crank it up. I'm gonna listen to this dude, right? And if it works, do that,
yeah,
and because hopefully that will facilitate the healing.
yeah.
100%, 100%. I don't know if anybody else has anything else going on, but I feel like I really need to talk to you about some other things that I can't really record. Cannot be
Yeah.
publicly cannot be publicly disclosed at this point. But
Oh no,
wowzers,
we're going down those lines. Oh no.
how awesome sauce was this? If anybody has anybody that wants to kind of help this whole knowledge, I feel like this is like a whole new knowledge base that
Yeah,
we are in the manifestation stage. We are creators of this
yeah.
realm, and the sooner we take that by the short and curlies and drive the bus. I don't know, buses don't have short and curlies, but anyway, take it by the wheel. Uh, I'm
Short
sorry.
curly bus drivers. Oh geez. Yeah, you're getting into Hobbitsville here. Um,
But anyway,
what was it?
yeah.
You got to ask yourself what's important right now. Where do you want to grow? Where do you want to grow right now? Not what do you want to grow, but where do you want to grow? We can change this whole everything that's going on right now. We can change it all around. I'm hearing people, defeated, deflated, uh, displaced. They have no homes. They have nothing left. Everything they've put everything into wherever. I'm talking with people that are living in vehicles, homeless, in tents, and this. This is nothing new to me. I've worked as an advocate and I've lived under a bridge. I've lived in my vehicle. I lived in a tent. Well, I've done this myself. You can do it. If it ever comes down to a point where you have to do it, you will do it to survive. We don't, what can we do to manifest a better reality than what we've got right now? We need to look for solutions. We need to go, where are these directions coming from? Who is causing this displacement? How is this displacement taking place? If it's floods and fires, I mean, you've got the trees. You can't go up high because you've got the trees. But why? Because they'll burn the bloody trees down. They'll burn you out. Okay? Fire, they'll push you out. Flood, they'll push you out. There is so many earthquake, they'll shatter what's standing. Waves will just wash it all away and then they'll start again. Where do you place yourself in between if you're not going to go and line up for the jungle juice so that you can be tracked and traced every 5 minutes of your breathing existence? What are you going to do about it? You're going to allow it to happen for generations to come? We're in a robotic phase right now. Some people have said comments in regards to why do I use programming, as one of my main words, because we are programmable creatures. I'm not saying that we are computers, but we are computer-like. We do get downloads. We use the terminologies to be able to share with the populace the direction of our flow. But we can go way, way deeper than that because when we know how we physically and mentally operate, work, function, then we can improve our situations. We can improve the way that the information flows in and flows out. We can have the conversations with ourselves without saying, look in the mirror, oh, look at that mug, look at that ugly mug. We don't need that word. Do change that word to something else and use that something else. And before you know it, you're glowing. You're glowing. You start seeing nice things about you in your reflection, and then you portray it when you go out in public. You start seeing the similarities in others. You find beauty in the smallest of things out there. That's how we start. All right, you give yourself that encouragement that you didn't get, that you've obviously been seeking. For us to improve as a species, we have to improve individually. And it doesn't mean go out there and buy the shop full of makeup or get your plastic surgery or do this or that. If you, at that particular time, believe that that is the right move for you, and then 5 minutes down the track you go, I made a big mistake, and do something about it, then you've got growth going on. All right. But if you go there and do it and then all you do is complain about it over and over time and you're never going to change it, it's like somebody getting phone calls at 4 o'clock every morning complaining and threatening you because they want access to this, that, or something else. What's the participation? The participation is answering that phone at 4 o'clock in the morning. What a bloody idiot. Don't take any calls at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's going to get you out of your sleep. It's going to put you into a state of depression. You're not going to get back to sleep. You're going to be concerned that somebody's going to be knocking on your window. There are so many areas that we participate in that we don't actually need to. So when you start stepping into your sovereignty, your true freedom, it's about saying no and being comfortable with it. It's about setting boundaries and protocols. We call them kawa, in place here. So that if somebody is tampering with an emotion or trying to trigger you with something else from the past. I mean, I can sit here and I can watch a TV program for kids and go, holy heck, look at that programming that they're feeding into that kid. In 10 to 15 years, that kid is going to know nothing of what you knew when you grew up. Nothing of the ways. They probably won't even be able to wipe their own butt. All right, so because some robot will be squirting it clean, or oh wait, I've got to analyze what's coming out of you. You now need to be on this powder over here. If we don't take control of what's going on right now, then we're not going to have an option to make sure that we can protect the next generations that are coming along. I have a self-argument constantly. Are humans worth it? Are we with it? Of course we are. We're here. And we're here in this time frame, like our ancestors before. What do you value in your experience being here in the now? Mine is the fact that I know that I can go really deep spiritually, and I want to know if I'm capable of levitating. Yeah, there's some crazy things going on I should be more concerned about. You know, when you've lost everything repeatedly, it's easier to come back from it. For me personally, it was easier because I lost the whole material aspect of it. You know, um, some will say I'm a hoarder, but no, everything that I have around me is practical. I can use everything that's around me for one thing or another. These are your skills. Where do your skill base lie? Is it in alchemy? What's alchemy? Being able to cook your dinner, make something that tastes good, make something that makes you feel good. When you're making a food for somebody else, you're putting into good energy. You're putting energy into that creation. If you're angry and making it, you watch them all get the shits later on or get stomach cramps or something else. This is what I call real magic or true magic. Is your intent is very powerful. Your thought process, the brain can't differentiate between thought, spoken thought, and action. So if your thought is action, then you may need to be cautious and aware of every action that you are taking because it's going out there. We don't just share through the frequency of the internet. We share through the frequency out there, the unseen. And that there's no boundaries in the unseen. And that can get round. I can scream my lungs out. I was going to say something else. Um, and I know that one or two people will actually hear me, which is the freaky thing because I'm not there. I'm not in that country. And yet they heard me before, while I was doing it. And boom, there's a message there in all my fucking panic and terror. At the same time, there's messages there. So they actually heard me. We can and are heard. We may not realize how powerful we truly are, how strong our frequencies are. And we do have impact on those around us. The more that we're online, like, we get online, we talk, da 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 da, the algorithms, the AI. That's the next one. I really want to get back in and do another take two with you on the whole AI God, AI governance, because it is kicking in, and we
You
need to
you
be
want
able.
you want we can do that. We can do that tomorrow if you want.
It's tomorrow. Yeah, possibly, possibly. Yep.
Maybe about the same time.
Yep.
Because there's like a whole different. I think the AI is also kind of linked to what I mentioned about the L's. I kind of
Yep.
feel like that those are definitely linked into things that we are in a very subdued way still here. And this is the effort of remanifesting some of the control.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that that control is going to manifest in the way that they think it is. So
Yeah.
that's a whole another gig. But there are things that are going on in the real time there where you're at, and some of the things that I've experienced in my maybe about 5 years ago that you and I have to kind of discuss after we close this board. Yeah, there's some very deep things going on right now. So please do like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for you guys for hanging out. Thanks for all of the new subs and followers on Rumble. I'll get this up on Rumble at some point, but
Yeah.
yeah, so thanks again so much, everybody. Again, like, share, subscribe, and we will definitely